Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. Voice of the Eagle kami, di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay Atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugod, todo sa kayod, punong at tulong. Lipad na Blue Eagle, galing hiding at tigil, blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, Katipunan.
All Kaps, mga Atenista, it's time to level up! Your talk variety program showcasing the best in media and other fields. As we feature the most loved personalities and the best practices of what we truly refer to as Magis. Together with multi-awarded multimedia guru Mr. Noel Ferrer, let's all level up every Fridays from 3 to 6 p.m. here on Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM. All Kaps, mga kapamilya, kapuso, kapatid, kabarkada, mga Katipuneros. It's time to level up with your host, multi-awarded multimedia guru Noel Ferrer here on All Kaps, Ateneo Level Up.
We're just waiting for their cue. Are we complete here? I think we still lack one. Anyway, okay, level up sa mga ganap. All good already, all the best. Level up sa ganap, level up sa saya. Mas daring, mas edgy, level up sa wawa. Gusto natin bago mag-weekend. It's a long weekend break that we have. Meron tayong magandang baon sa bakasyon. And as always, we shall level up in terms of relevance and goodwill. Lahat ng kulay, lahat ng opinion pwedeng palutangin. And today, we celebrate the Chinese New Year. And we usher in the Year of the Ox. And we feature only the most inspiring young people, young, the operative word, in our country today. We have here, as part of the search committee of the JCs, Sir Nashfar Mariua Berganio. Good afternoon, sir. Can you walk us through the process na pinagdaanan niyo po in choosing these best individuals to inspire us today?
Magandang hapon po, Sir Noel, tsaka
Yes.
sa mga tagapakinig po natin this afternoon. This year's search po was actually chosen by 7 among the most distinguished panel, no, led
And
by.
it was hard. I heard it was hard. Yeah, go.
It was really hard, and it was led po by Supreme Court Justice Rosemary Carandang. Initially po, they were screened by former TOIM awardees.
Yes.
And then they formed a top 20 list of nominees for this year out of 91 po who made it to the final cut. No? Ibig sabihin po yung nakapag-submit ng full requirements, no, ng sa ating initial nomination process. So, and then po the judges started to deliberate virtually.
Yes.
And then nung parang hindi pa sila makontento po kasi there are so much questions, deliberations, and then parang ang ginawa po, we set up a physical na kami
there
lang,
was physical.
judges, and then one representative from JCI Philippines, and then one representative from the foundation. And then doon po sila nagbalitaktakan, no? Doon sila nag-discuss, nag-deliberate kung who among the top 20 ang pwede po na pumasok sa top 10. So yun po yung nangyari. And then they decided po after that, naging top 11 siya instead of top 10.
Okay.
And then after which po, hindi pa rin sila nakontento. What's really good thing about our judges po was they go out of their way to do some research, conduct background checking. Hindi na po kami, nawalan po kami ng trabaho on that part. Usually po kasi it's the committee who do that.
Yes.
Who does that. Pero yun nga po yung nangyari. Sila na yung nag-ano. Like I specifically, as far as I can remember, si Captain Ron Villarosa, talagang nag-research pa yung isang judges, no? Facebook, and then some sort of mga resources na pwedeng maging makuha sa story niya. So dahil nga Mindanao yung mostly part ng mga napangyarihan ng kanyang mga achievements. So yun po.
So sir, what were you looking for? What were you looking for sa isang awardee ng TOYM?
We are actually, the TOYM for 61 years po is looking for ordinary men with extraordinary achievements. Yun lang po kasimple. Kumbaga, isang individual na who will go out of their profession to do and to create impact on the lives of the people.
Okay.
Basically po, ang wala tayong masyadong parang criteria. It's just the impact that we measure.
Okay.
Sa mga nagawa ng ating mga nominees or awardees.
Sir, like the nerdy Atenean that I am, like Mayor Vico, I read this book, yung Sketches, which is, well, a compilation of all the inspiring stories of the past TOYM awardees. But I heard that, yun nga po, hindi pa rin naabot yung 10 na normally TOYM, kasi 10 outstanding yan. Tapos ginawa nyo ng the previous years kasi you don't have you to necessarily fill it up with people from different sectors, di ba? And kunyari, parang if there are 2 doctors, yun ba yung process? If there are 2 doctors or 2 government officials worthy of the award, you'll just put them in. Ganun po ba yung proseso?
Tama po. Kaya po siya pinalitan from 10 to the, para at least po, we don't stick to yung 10 lang, or we don't go naman beyond talaga na 15 or ano. Basta ang mangyari lang po, pag napag-deliberatean at na-background check ng mga judges natin na ito lang talaga yung karapat-dapat for this year, yun lang po yung yung gagawaran nga, ika nga ng award.
Okay. So being that, sir, we'll go through the list, though, but the last question, which is the first question I'll ask them, what does it mean to be outstanding in their respective sector at this point? Ano po yung pagiging outstanding na hinihingi ng JCs at ng lipunan mula sa mga taong binigyan niyo po ng award?
Simple lamang po, hinahanap lang po natin na makakapagdulot ng inspirasyon, no? Lalo na tong pandemya, to inspire people to do and go out of their way to help out our country, fellow countrymen. Ganun lang po kasimple ang hinahanap ng TOYM.
May konteksto, no? May malinaw yung konteksto lalo na sa panahong ito. Anyway, I'll run through the awardees and we'll ask them questions. And the good thing, it's their first time to be here all together. The 7 awardees, we're just waiting for one more para makumpleto. And well, pwede natin kausapin at pwede silang mag-interact with one another. Okay, malapit sa akin yung una kong babanggitin kasi nga kapwa guro. I also, I'm part of the academe. So, yung una, striving for a better future for the indigenous and the impoverished. Sir Edgar founded the Project Scholar, linking financially constrained but worthy students to possible college degrees. This was something he himself experienced growing up, as he and his siblings had to walk 4 kilometers, even crossing a river just to get to school. So he had a lot of programs, and here I read up on his story. Merong uniformeng hindi na kasya. We have here from Agusan del Norte, Sir Edgar Tolentino Elago. Magandang hapon po.
Magandang hapon po sa lahat po. Good afternoon, sir.
Magandang hapon, sir. Thank you. Now I ask you, sir, ano yung halaga ng pagiging outstanding ngayong panahong ito lalo
Well,
na
it's
sa field nyong napakahirap kasi halos lahat kayo nasa online education ngayon.
Well, it's really timely in this pandemic
Mm.
because, especially during this time, our communities, our country, and our fellow countrymen is really needs like us, community builders, teachers, who really made an impact. And I do hope our countrymen, the Filipino people, and other public servants, most especially to my fellow teachers, will do their share in nation building to make an initiatives, programs, and projects to create an impact, a long-lasting impact for the benefits of every Filipino.
Iba po yung story nyo, Sir Edgar, kasi parang pang maalaala mo kaya yung storya nyo, no? Parang bago naging teacher na nilbihan at nagsaka habang pinagtatapos yung sarili nyo, no? Sa pag-aaral. Can you walk us through your story, sir? Bago nyo narating yung narating nyo po ngayon.
We are a family of 9. My father is a carpenter, and while my mother worked in the farm. So I really need to work hard in order for me to finish my ambition in life to become an educator.
Mhm.
So when I became a teacher, I really feel the agony of being a children, a student, belong in the poverty line. So
Mhm. Mhm.
I made that made that made myself to create an initiatives, programs, and projects to 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 have, I mean, para mabigyan ng tulong ang aming mga estudyante na
Mhm.
talagang may mga pangarap sa buhay. So I give them hope and make their dreams alive despite of poverty that they are experiencing.
Then your father died. Well, your graduation, parang before your graduation day, and parang that whole education apostolate was really your way in improving your life, sir, no?
Yeah, 3 months before my graduation day, my father tragically died in a construction site. He is working. And then that really made uh, 360 degrees nung na-change po ang nagbuhay ko. Nung naging teacher
Mhm.
po ako, especially to my station right now, meron
Mhm.
kaming mga estudyante na mga IPs at saka karamihan sa aming mga estudyante talagang hirap na hirap sa buhay because I am teaching in a Barrio High School na mayroon pong mga IP community. And then in 2011, I initiated Project Scholar
Okay.
aiming aiming to remove financial barrier for our high school underprivileged students.
So paano po 'yun? Parang oo, hindi rin naman kalakihan yung sweldo ninyo, but paano kayo nakakalap ng pondo para dun sa proyekto po yung 'yon?
With the help of other government agencies, NGOs, and other uh, mga foundations po at saka mga private individuals. Nakapagsuporta po tayo itong Project Scholar po natin noong 2011 na
Mhm.
sinimulan po natin noong 2011. Today, it supported over 100 scholars who come from various backgrounds
Grabe.
and such as out of school youth, children from broken families, indigenous people, mga students who don't have parents, at saka yung mga children coming from or children in conflict with the law. And then
Galing.
these scholars have become professionals in different fields
At
today.
maganda, no, parang the scholars helping the scholars. Kasi kayo mismo, di ba, parang napaaral kayo, binabahagi nyo. Sa amin sa Ateneo, yung tawag doon yung tulong-dunong project. No? Parang kung nabahagingan ka ng biyaya, ikaw mismo gagawa doon para sa kapwa mo. So sir,
So I think,
yeah,
yeah.
go, sir.
Yeah, so I think this initiative really multiplied the impact that I once gave to them. So I am very happy that these scholars are now also my volunteers in uplifting
Okay.
in para makalap pa or mapalaganap pa ang ating mga initiatives.
Galing. And education is a really, really important thing. And later, we can only stress that even more. Next, we'll go back to your story, sir. At marami pang inspiring anecdotes tungkol sa story nyo. The next one, traffic has long riddled Metro Manila. Commuters have always needed a more cost-efficient and effective solution, creating a community of professionals that alleviate the stress of hundreds and thousands of people. George is the founder and chief transport advocate of Angkas. But of course, we'll go to the more human side. Ang sabi ng kapatid niya, nakilala ko at kaibigan ko rin, sinabi niya, fighter tong si George. Well, he went through life like the best of us and he survived it all. So, George, magandang hapon. George Ilagan Royeca. Are you based in Mindanao also?
Doon po ako pinanganak, Sir Noel, sa
Yes,
General
yes.
Santos po, pero Manila na po ako ngayon. Magandang hapon po sa inyo at magandang hapon sa aking fellow awardees at lahat ng mga takapagpakinig niyo.
Ibang klase, no? Parang you're in the company, we are in the company of greatness. So George, I'll ask everyone na rin, mamaya nakalimutan kong tanong kay Sir Edgar. When you first heard about this award, ano yung halaga nito sa'yo?
Ay, hindi po ako makapaniwala, no? Lalo na ngayong pandemya, na nakapagpili po sila ng mga taong talagang nakatulong at to be part of that such distinguished awardees or honorees is something that I hold dearly, no? Pero sa akin po, Sir Noel, hindi itong malaking karangalan po to is something that I want to share with the millions of mga kagulong, mga motorcycle riders po natin, no?
That's true.
You know, to give them recognition today. You know, matagal na po, ilang taon na pong milyon-milyon na ating mga kapatid na naaabuso sa daan. They had to contend to being second-class citizens. May negative stigma po yan. Gustong bundulin po yan ng lahat ng mga turista. And sa ngayon po, to be given such recognition by such a prestigious institution like TOIM is something that I hold very, very dearly. No? I really, Angkas has been in the business of safety. It has become an advocacy for us, no? And we've proven na pag tinuruan niyo po ang Pilipino, yung tunay na turo, pag nag-commit po kayo na bigyan po sila ng skills, ng tools, they will be productive citizens of this country. Alam niyo po, maraming stigma yung motorsiklo na sila ay undisciplined, sila ay talagang hindi okay po sa daan. Pero ngayon sila po ang nagpapadala ng ating mga medisina. Sila ang nagbibigay sa ating mga pagkain. Sila po ay naging talagang sentral dito sa pagtutulong, pagbibigay serbisyo sa pandemya. And this is something, if there's one thing that came out of this pandemic is really seeing our brothers and sisters in different light, no? And we really have to assess our current situation and how we look at the community around us. And I hope that with my fellow honorees here, that we really use this as a platform to push our advocacy forward and continue our service.
Very good. Very good. In your citation, sinabi you provided more dignity to previously habal-habal drivers, uplifting their status and capabilities. So you're a champion for the motorcycle taxi biker. But I gathered from your family, you must be named as one of those who started Wi-Fi in the Philippines. Why so?
Matagal na po yun. That was from another life. No? Nagtuloy po tayo ng Wi-Fi sa Pasig po. At ito po ay naging basihan ng commercial service po, ng marami pong naging Wi-Fi afterwards. No? Pero it was a very small company that we started back in the day. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
So yun ang maganda, no, sa TOYM awardees natin, they're really pioneering in a sense, no, without them knowing it or hindi sinasadya, no. But sir, how did you feel when yung existence ng Angkas was kind of threatened at one time during the pandemic, no, that we had to come up with signatures to support your cause?
Naku po, alam niyo, yung ating journey po, makasaysayan po talaga sa Angkas, no. In fact, hindi natin tong first shutdown yung pandemic. Na-shutdown na po tayo ng gobyerno ng ilang beses bago po dumating yung pandemya. So nakapag-practice po tayo ng konti para sa pandemya. Pero one thing I think that the government realized later on, no, as we push towards the advocacy is the amount of impact that this has in terms of creating jobs, no, or a solution, a potential solution to create jobs on a nationwide basis. In fact, Sir Noel, pagkukunin ko na po yung pagkakataon na dito na alam niyo po, ang motorsiklo ang kaisa-isahang kauna-unahang binibili po ng ating taong bayan. This is the first purchase that a low-income family household buys. Kasi ito po yung kanilang simbolo na pagtatrabaho, magiging family car. This takes them out of poverty. And ang problema po natin sa Pilipinas na wala po tayong kahit isang batas na nagpoprotekta sa biker at nagpoprotekta rin sa mga consumers dito sa pagiging entrepreneur ng mga motorsiklo. So we hope na this year, sana talaga po mapush na natin yung batas. Umabot na po tayo sa Kongreso, napasado na po sa Congress last Congress, hindi nakapos lang po tayo sa oras para sa Senado. Pero ako po ay nagagalak na the Senate has adopted the authorship of all senators for the Angkas Bill. And hopefully po talaga pong matuloy-tuloy na po yung pagbibigay ng dignidad at legalisasyon dito sa ating mga motorcycle entrepreneurs. Sila po ang bagong bayani natin.
Sir, paano yun? Kunyari, hindi ba kayo napasok dun sa government process dahil sa pinagdaanan nyong yan? Or meron paraan para to change it from within at parang itutuloy-tuloy pa rin? We have to go through the tedious process still.
Alam nyo, in the beginning, I thought it was us versus them, good versus evil. But Sir
True.
Noel, it's really just a matter of different perspectives. No? Changing mindsets, yun po yung aking trabaho. So kung sa dati po, ang regular po na tao gustong ibundol yung motorsiklo sa daan. Ayaw po sumakay dyan. Pang mahirap yan, pang masa lang yan. Sa ngayon po, pagpasok ng angkas, celebrities, CEOs, politicians, lahat po sila, personalities, sumasakay po na ng angkas. And pag ako may naririnig na tao na talagang galit po sa nagmomotor, it's just another person that I need to convince to change that mindset. Kasi meron lang po tayong 4 million na mga kotse sa Pilipinas versus 18 million cars po sa Philippines. So talaga pong ito po ang sasakyan ng bayan at maraming dumidependa sa motorsiklo upang para sa kanilang kabuhayan. And I hope that I can shine more light on this, and maraming salamat sa inyo at sa Toying Foundation to really putting this in the limelight and putting it in the forefront in the consciousness of our Filipinos.
We'll go back to your story and all your advocacy, sir. We'll go now to the next person. We'll ask her kung nakikiangkas siya or pwede siyang makiangkas. Attorney Leslie Jean U. Cordero, the Senior Disaster Risk Management Specialist of the World Bank. A Senior Disaster Risk Management Specialist ang nakalagay dun sa citation niya. Ang tawag sa kanya, Disaster Queen. During her stint in government, she coordinated with more than 30 cabinet secretaries for the creation and implementation of the Yolanda Comprehensive Rehabilitation and Recovery Plan. I heard your interview, Leslie, in ANC. Congratulations. But ito na yung tanong. I saw you're in different areas, no? Because kaibigan ko rin yung dating MTRCB chair si Sir Toto Villarreal, and you were with him, and you were with sina Berna Puyat and sa tourism. Parang ang sphere mo ang lawak, and your friends also with James Jimenez of Comelec, no? So umikot ka talaga, Leslie. Ano yung central na papel mo dun sa affiliation mong yan? Ano yung core?
Good afternoon, Noel. Maayong hapon sa mga Bisaya, sa mga nakikinig. Yeah. So sa question, I think it was an opportunity to work in government. And I work sa Office of the President. So I started with the Presidential Communications Operations Office. And there, I was an ex-officio vice chair sa MTRCB Appeals. So I got to work
At National Youth Council ka pa rin pala when I read your totoo ba yun? Nag-NYC ka?
Totoo po. Under, I think, Arroyo administration po. I was appointed as commissioner, yeah. I saw it as an opportunity to be able to showcase na young people also have a voice. And when you get a seat at a table, you do your damn best to be able to deliver and showcase na your representation means a lot to more people. And it's not every day that they get to listen, di ba, to young people. So when you're there, when you're given that window of opportunity, do your best.
Pero kapatid, iba yung advocacy mo sa PCOO, di ba? Parang bawal ang fake, di ba? Bawal fake news. Dapat malinaw yung communications. Pero ikaw talaga, yun, sabi mo, there should be a plan, there should be a clear strategic plan in everything that you do. So now, given the situation, may COVID tayo, at yun, kasama dun sa apostolado mo, yung gagawin mo, yung pag-allocate ng funds or sa lahat ng mga calamities at yun, yung lahat ng tumatama sa ating mga Pilipino. How do you contribute to that, and how do you communicate that well to the people?
Before, when we were doing Typhoon Yolanda, grabe yung criticism sa government, di ba? And we were at the heart of that. And we welcome the criticism because, di ba, every disaster, the government should be seen as somebody who is at the front lines helping out together with the local government units. Right now, pag nakakriticize, nafe-feel mo na nagiging defensive. But my realization is similar to what George mentioned. We need to change the mindsets of people. We need to do more. We need to explain more. Kasi yun yung kulang. And I think even if government is doing a lot of things, ang kulang is hindi nako-communicate ng maayos.
That's true.
So now, fast forward here in the World Bank, same pa rin yung advocacy to give more opportunity to prepare local government units, communities to be able to respond better and recover faster from disasters. And we're seeing this, di ba? Yung
Galing.
compound risk ng pandemic. Ang
Galing.
hirap kaya nun. I think hindi ko ma-imagine kung anong ginagawa nila Mayor Vico na kung may pandemic ka, nag-earthquake or binaha and binagyo. How
At may
did you
COVID ka, di ba? Parang
Oo.
sabay-sabayan lahat, no?
Oo. So imagine, yung Pasig naman I think is more prepared. But yung mga 4th to 6th class municipalities and cities, paano sila? So here in the bank right now, even if we're dealing with the national government, providing loan, we're also helping build the capacity of local government units and communities.
And
So,
your task really is to, yun nga sabi, yung buzzword ngayong mga panahong ito, no, to collab. So you collab with civil society, with academe, with communities, with local government. So yan yung trabaho mo talaga, Leslie, no? And you're really good at that. So expound on the adjust, adapt, and execute thing. Saan ba tayo nagkukulang bilang mga Pilipino ngayon sa governance? Sa adjusting ba? Sa adapting? Sa execution?
I think usually sa bureaucracy, and I say this because I was there for almost 6 years,
Yes.
nahihirapan tayo to get out of the box. And palagi tayong natatali at sinasabing bawal kasi po sa batas or bawal sa COA, bawal sa procurement rules. But there's always a way because the objective is to help more people, di ba? And para makarating yung tulong and assistance dun sa mga affected ng mga disasters. So I think people in government, like what Mayor Vico is doing, is to skirt around the law and find ways to deliver faster. And hindi kailangan akuin lahat ng gobyerno.
Galing.
There's always a way to do this whole of nation approach, di ba? Na you work and leverage on private sector, civil society organizations. And wag nating kalimutan, yung mga people affected, yung sinasabi nating victims, they won't be victims for long. If you give them that dignity, get them involved, di ba?
That's true. So that they're part of the whole process, no?
Right.
Ang galing. Well, mamaya may interaction naman kayo. Yung siguro maganda yung collab ng lahat ng mga sectors na to, no? And I was surprised also while reading your bio, you're also involved in music. Or I saw your name. I was with ABS-CBN, and then there's this song by Rocky Vega, yung We Will Rise Again na song. And did you get to sing or support that? Do you sing?
So what we did was during Typhoon Yolanda, parang yung mga artists natin, yung mga directors,
Okay.
parang they wanted to contribute. And we were looking for something that will uplift and showcase the resilience of the Filipinos.
Okay.
Because at that time, bombarded tayo no, ng criticisms left and right. And we wanted to showcase na yung Filipino spirit and bayanihan is there.
Okay.
So we contacted Rocky, who was, I think, in Hong Kong, Disneyland working.
Yes.
And government didn't have money to pay. And
Yes.
you know, I was so surprised when she said, if this is my contribution, you don't have to pay me. And
Actually, dahil taga Cebu, no?
Opo. And
Okay.
affected din sa Yolanda yung Cebu, I think northern part of Cebu. So it was performed and sung by a Cebuana. The song was written by a Cebuano.
With Jude Gitamundok, yes.
Yeah.
And you're part of it. Ang galing mo
Yes.
naman. Well, I also gathered that George loves music, pero sabi ng kapatid niya, hindi raw siya ginugusto ng musika. So, well, tingnan natin kung ano mamaya may mabubuo tayong good music there. So, ang ganda lang na baka pwede nating ulitin yung We Shall Rise Again after this whole pandemic and all the delubyo, no, na pinagdaanan natin. So, Leslie, maganda mamaya yung interaction natin with the fellow awardees. We now go to the next one. Dr. Raymond Francis Sarmiento, a world-class doctor that came from humble beginnings. Dr. Raymond relied on relatives to get through his schooling. He's the first and only Filipino to receive formal training on clinical informatics and public health informatics. So how did you get that, Sir Raymond? Dr. Raymond pala, good afternoon.
Thank you, Sir Noel. Before I start, Dr. Jose Wendell Capili sends his regards po pala, Sir Noel.
Small world, small world. He's from UP. Are you from UP also?
Yes po, yes po. So, Sir Wendell was my creative writing professor undergrad when I was taking my BS Psychology.
I taught in UP for a while also. So, well, I'm very much informed about what's happening in the university. Let's not go there yet. Para mamaya may taga-militar, no? Ano dito. But sir, we just got news. Siguro, unahin na rin natin bago nyo sabihin yung storya nyo. Alam nyo ba yung bagong ruling ng IATF ngayon na ito na, pwede na raw magbukas yung latest restrictions on religious gatherings on GCQ areas, allows them to have 50% venue capacity beginning Monday. So pwede na raw yung driving schools, traditional cinemas, so magbubukas ang mga sinihan, video or interactive game arcades, museums, meetings, exhibitions, etc. So, how does that sit with the doctor here in the TOIM?
So it's incidentally I was part of the meeting, just for full disclosure, Sir Noel, when that was being discussed with the undersecretaries.
Ang ganda, no? Mamaya tanungin natin si Mayor Vico kasi iba yung position ng mga mayors doon sa ng mga doktor. Although they will always yield to science, di ba?
Well, it will be interesting to get the perspective from the local government, local chief executives. But from the discussion that we have had, and this was also supported by the current data that we have been gathering from our surveillance system, which is the feasibility analysis for syndromic surveillance using spatiotemporal epidemiologic modeler, which is just a long name of saying it's the faster system that we have been using as our case surveillance system po, no? Supported by the fact, and also in line with certain requests from different sectors on how we could slowly open up different parts of the economy, but with also a focus and also a renewed intensity po with regards to the mask mandate, and also the wearing of the face shields and the physical distancing. All of the minimum health standards that we continue to promote, as well as something that we continue to include in our messages po, no? So part of what is lost, I think, or maybe not lost, something that's overlooked in the messaging is that for those, and this is in line po with the vaccination rollout, for those who will be receiving vaccines, it's easy to get lost in the fact that all of these minimum health standards should continue even after you have received the vaccination. So it may sound very, very cliche, very much a cliche, but we really are not safe until everyone is safe. It's something that we really are pushing forward, not just because we want to have a renewed intensity with regards to vaccination per se, what with our historical context, shall we say, Sir Noel, but we want to be able to emphasize that protecting the public health is of utmost importance for everyone.
So sir, pinayagan nyo naman, may approval po nyo. Kasi parang, again, it was a choice between yung opening up the economy and then the safety. Lalo na, sasabihin ng ordinaryong tao, yung strain na niya nakakatakot, di ba? So, pinayagan ng mga doktor naman itong move na to.
So, just to be very clear, Sir Noel, based on the evidence that we have been sharing and based also with the renewed genomic surveillance, part of all of the work that we have been doing. So, incidentally po, we will be having a webinar on COVID-19 variants in the Philippines and how they have been affecting our whole ecosystem and our management. That's on Friday, 12 noon, as part of our Stop COVID Deaths webinar series. But the message that the whole technical working group wants to emphasize po is that as long as we continue to comply with our minimum health standards, as long as this is in conjunction also with the vaccination rollout, all of these things will be very carefully managed naman po with regards. What would be interesting to note is that in the IATF resolution that was recently passed, the restriction, the LGU risk classification remains at GCQ. But if you read it, it reads as if you are in MGCQ already. So there might be certain definitional changes with regards to that may be affected.
Got that and very clearly said, sir. But since we're there already, what does an outstanding young person feel about our overall COVID response, given the surveys, the worldwide surveys, placing us sa bottom list in terms of holistic responses?
So it's quite interesting in the sense that we have done much, but I personally, as a scientist, believe that we could have done much better in terms of the timing of all of these
Yes.
things. A lot of the work that we had been able to do, which was really outstanding, but from a reactive perspective.
That's
But in
true.
terms of a
That's true.
proactive stance, there's still a wide gap in terms of anticipating certain uh, situations that we could have maybe avoided very early on in the pandemic. What I would say is that even though there is a distinct recognition with regards to certain aspects of the response that we could improve upon, very notable po is that there was no how do I say this? There was no parang pagkamatigas na ulo in the sense that given additional data, there was really a movement or a decision in terms of being able to follow what the evidence was showing and not be too really just narrow-minded in whatever measures were there. So for that, it's very commendable that the Philippines really set up all of these technical working groups with the scientific experts, with this technical advisory group. HTAC was the Health Technology Assessment Council was also there. So all of these things come together. It's what has been interesting is because it became an entirely very consultative
Finally,
environment.
no? Yes.
Opo, which was something of well, for me it was parang of a shock because you were in one meeting, then another meeting, then another meeting, and then
So
you try
when
to.
did you get into the IATF system, sir? Kasi,
So
well, I have to say to Sir Nash, no, there was some earlier on, nako, tayo parang tinitingnan natin yung balitaktakan ng dalawang TOYM awardees, si Atom Araulio at si Dr. Edsel, di ba? Nung yung sa data nila, sabi ko, pwede na bang mag-intervene yung mga taga TOYM? Pareho naman sila ng gustong marating, no? Pero ngayon, at least ngayon, mas nako-consult kayo dun sa mga desisyon.
Opo. So from I started po as well, it was because one of the balik scientists, the Department of Science and Technology,
That's
asked
true.
me in my position as director of the National Telehealth Center. We have been doing work on digital health and health data
That's true.
science. If we could contribute and maybe help out with the entire surveillance system po. So
Galing.
I've personally been helping out with regards to the projections as part of the faster modeling team, and that was my first foray into the response. Eventually po, my scope expanded and expanded. Eventually, I became co-chair of the data governance subgroup for the IATF ICT group. And then really now working on with several personalities, the part po, honorees also of the 2020 TOY. I'm really just having a collaborative approach with all of these, and then also incorporating our work with the vaccine.
Sana nga ma-assign din kayo ni Attorney Leslie doon sa communications kasi kailangan yan yung kalmado, yung buo na impormasyon para mas lalong intindihin ng mga tao. Before I leave that segment sa inyo, sir, sa vaccine rollout, nakita natin ang tinuro yung spokesperson ng PGH na mauuna daw na magre-receive. Ano yung stand nyo doon?
So I think the choice, as was explained earlier in the webinar, Sir Noel, was that the Philippine General Hospital chose Dr. Jonas Del Rosario as a story of hope, a story of renewed hope, actually, that we are able to come out of the ashes of this pandemic just because of his personal story.
Nagka-COVID dalawang beses. Yeah.
People know that he had contracted COVID, but I don't think a lot of people know that he lost his parents during this pandemic. So it's not on his personal
it's a symbolic thing.
yes, and then also with his parents, it was very well devastating, just to be able to experience all of that. So having him like, I don't want to say beacon, but it's like a ray of hope that if he represents that, parang head of the snake, and then the whole everyone behind him falls in line with regards to the vaccination. It gives you a sense that people will really have this level of acceptance, and the importance and the value of being vaccinated with the COVID-19 vaccine.
Maganda naman yon kasi frontliner, doctor talaga yung mauuna, no? Pero did you expect any government official to be first?
Oh, I think it was, how do I say this? It was part within the realm of possibilities, just because one of the the first hospitals po that would be part of the vaccination rollout, and just because of the fact that healthcare workers will be the first priority group,
Yes.
are the COVID-19 referral hospitals. So it was not that big of a leap to assume that one person from one of those three hospitals, Jose and Rodriguez Memorial Hospital Caloocan, Lung Center, and PGH, may mauuna po doon na isa. It's just a matter of sino ba yung mauuna from those po.
Pasado ba, Leslie, Attorney Leslie, no? Parang kalmado naman yung pagka-explain at buo. Babalikan ho natin yung story niyo because you've really chosen to stay here in the Philippines and serve your countrymen kahit ang dami na pong mga medical frontliners yung umalis ng bansa. So that's very admirable, Sir Dr. Raymond. Now we go to the military awardee, Captain Ron Villarosa Jr., creating peace and development projects where most people would not. Captain Ron is responsible for the creation of many livelihood, evacuation, education, and infrastructure programs in war-torn areas. Sir Ron Villarosa, I heard your, I actually watched your interview in ANC with Attorney Leslie. Sir, sobrang nakakamangha kasi at this point, sinabi ko nga sa inyo, kakaiba yung impression ng man in uniform. Tapos kayo yung mga initiatives nyo sa ground, yun talaga yung nagmamatter, di ba, sir? So, ano yung gusto nyo with this award and yung pagkilalang ito, ano yung gusto nyo sabihin sa mga tao na, okay, sa AFP at yung mga sundalo na nandun sa mga area, ito handang magsilbi para sa kanila kahit ano pa man yung pinipaint na picture, no, sa inyo ng ibang mga tao sa lipunan, or probably mga spokespersons din.
Yes, sir. Thank you po talaga. First of all, sir, yung award na to, I would like to give this sa ating AFP. Hindi ko naman po ito nagawa ng mag-isa. This is actually a collaborative effort. Sabi ko nga sa team namin na ako lang yung tumanggap, pero para sa atin talaga to with all the partners. So, siguro ang isa po sa malaking bagay doon is actually if you look at how we actually humanize, alam ko kada isa sa amin merong story. Sa end ko kasi, isa sa mga pinagdaanan talaga namin nun was, I grew up sa Middle East, so I have an OFW parents actually. Yes. And nung nandun kami, I was there from about 91 until year 2000. Mararanasan mo talaga doon na ganito pala yung manirahan sa ibang bansa. Yung ibang Pilipino gusto nilang umalis, papunta ng ibang bansa, pero ikaw nung nandun ka na, growing up, nakikita mo iba ka eh. So at one point,
pinaghandaan ko kayo ng nabasa or nakita ko yung interview nyo that you were bullied and you never expounded on that. Anong bullying yung nakuha nyo sa Middle East, sir?
Actually, merong kasi iba talaga ibang-iba yung kultura doon. And at one point, meron ako nakita nagbabike ng mga binatilyo, naglalakad ako noon. Tapos tumumba sila, they were foreign nationals, not necessarily the nationals from that particular country. Lumapit sa akin, nag-Arabic. Hindi ako marunong mag-Arabic, so yung sinasabi namin doon na ana mafi malum Arabi, hindi ako marunong mag-Arabic. Inulit-ulit niya until I was hit. So physical nila ako, wala akong choice kundi tumakbo.
Okay.
And at that point, marirealize mo na pasalamat kayo, nandito kayo sa bansa nyo, pero kung nandun ako sa bansa ko, hindi nyo ako masasaktan, kaya ko ipagtanggol yung sarili ko. So siguro ito yung sa mga few events na nag-spark ng pagiging Pilipino na pag umuwi ako sa bansa namin, hindi nyo ako doon magagalaw. Only to find out, that was year 2000 na nag-for good kami dito na really the Philippines
It's your
hindi
country.
siya ganun ka-ideal sa nakikita namin. Pero yun na lang yung bansa mo, pero hindi pa rin siya ideal eh. I mean, it's Filipinos fighting against Filipinos. So at the end of the day, parang it's either I go back there and make no change, pero hindi eh. Ito na yung sabi kong uuwian ko eh. Ito na yung nag-iisang bansa na meron lang ako where I could be free. So from there on, siguro nandun lang yung pagiging Pilipino mo, nandyan lang na balang araw magagawa natin yan, balang araw magagawa yan. Until I was a CAT officer and an ROTC officer, I was inspired. So active reservist din ako noon. I was a staff sergeant in the reserve force. I was inspired by one of the regular officers from the special forces. Kaya ako pumasok sa SF noon. And sabi ko, balang araw gusto ko rin yan. So I took up BSBA in entrepreneurship at ipamantasan ng lungsod ng Maynila.
Okay.
Ang history po noon is may pagka-rebelde din talaga ako. I was an idealist. I will go against the system. Pero at the end of the day, parang you would have to look na, I want to go against the system, pero meron ba akong magagawa para mabago yung existing na system?
Okay.
Capacitated ba ako? Marunong ba akong gumawa ng sarili kong paraan? Or am I just joining the bandwagon, wanting change? Pero hindi ko rin naman alam kung paano ako mag-i-impose ng change pag ako na nakaupo dyan. So that taught me. After nun, when I graduated, I was about to take up law, pero naniwala kasi ako sa calling. I took up the probationary officers training corps until nakagraduate ako. Paggising ko, nasa OCS na ako. Paggising ko ulit, nasa Basilan na ako. So, yun na yung story. That's how I entered the armed forces.
So, sabi mo nga, may converting passion to action, tapos guns to books campaign nung nasa Basilan ka.
Yes.
I clarified it kanina na parang while you're in the field, no, parang you were in conflict areas, but you wanted to preserve the humanity of people and the stories of people on the ground. How hard was that, sir?
It's very hard, sir. Actually, makakapagpatunay din dyan si Sir Elago. I understand where he is coming from kasi we are almost in the same situation. Sir, at one point, it was 2014. Kailangan namin mag-evacuate sa Basilan in one island. Kailangan namin mag-evacuate ng children because they were dying from diarrhea. Imagine, someone dying from diarrhea, ang gamot na sa kanya is tubig para hindi siya ma-dehydrate. Can you imagine kung gaano kahirap yung mga tao doon sa lugar na yon? And about 3 or 4 of them died. Ngayon, magtataka ka kung bakit talaga sa mga areas na yon magkakaroon ka ng rebelde, magkakaroon ka ng other MNLF, the MILF. I have to be very honest, in those areas, governance or the government does not really cease to exist. So kung ako, isa akong native nung probinsya na yan, nakita ko na namamatay yung mga tao ko dahil wala nag-aalaga, I will raise my own flag at sasabihin ko sa kanila na hindi nyo kayang pangalagaan yung tao ko, ako magtatayo ko ng bandila, papangalagaan ko yung tao ko, aarugain ko sila. So we have the MNLF, the MILF, although it's for a deeper cause, pero if you look down kung ano ba talaga cause nila, it's because they want change. Yun na yung gusto nila, magandang buhay.
Kaya ako kinilabutan kasi you said, no, where government is weak, you should support local governance and there should be a security framework for people there. What did you mean by that?
Meron kaming ina-adapt po ngayon na processor. We were very fortunate during our time at the Officer Candidate School. I'm a product of the Advanced ROTC program. And during our days in the OCS, ang lagi sa aming sinasabi ni during our lecture is the Army is the protector of the Filipino people and the state. Never use your army against your own people. So that's something to be proud of kasi in this generation na mga officers natin, naka-embed sa amin yan. The Army is the protector of the Filipino people and the state. Never use your army against your own people. Then nag-come up yung aming iba't ibang framework and isa doon yung tinatawag namin na DGS concept, Development, Governance, and Security Framework. Sinasabi doon na for really para sa national well-being, you must have development, you must have security, and you must have governance coming hand in hand. Yung whole of nation approach na sinasabi kanina ni Ma'am Leslie. And pag nakikita mo yung factors na yun, going down to the ground, people are struggling not because they want to fight the government, but because they want to have a government that will care for them.
To respond to their needs.
Yes, that is our role sa ground. Ang daming political noise sa taas, pero at the end of the day, it's how people at the tactical level understand the ground and how they react to the ground. Kasi yung policies will be there, pero how it is implemented would be another different story. And it would take years probably for it to take full effect. Ang trabaho namin sa ground is really to help the Filipino people, kahit MNLF ka, MILF ka, sino ka man, if you need education, then we will provide you with that. So here's the story about From Guns to Books. We did this as a team with the 4th Special Forces Battalion. Ang setting po nito is 2013, right after the Zamboanga Siege, ang init ng MNLF sa Basilan, kasi it was the MNLF who raised their flag in Zamboanga. One of the tasks that was given to us by our battalion commander, Colonel Villaflor, was to neutralize the MNLF. How do you neutralize the MNLF without inducing yung another conflict, armed conflict? So it's very praising. That time, I'm a second lieutenant. So second lieutenant ako noong 2013. Paano mo gagawin yan? I only have 12 men in my team. What we did was we went to their camp. It's a long story kung paano kami nakapasok. Most people would not do that. Pero we came in there, 3 lang kami. And to cut the story short, nakita namin yung kampo nila. Sabi namin, Commander, pwede ba nating gawing school na lang to? So pumayag sila na yung dati nilang kampo, gawin naming school. Habang nakikipagkwentuhan kami kay Commander, we found out the same story na sabi nga kanina ni Sir Elago, na hindi talaga sila na-educate. Because imagine, ang daming na loko sa Zamboanga Siege, because wala talaga silang access to education. They have to walk 2 kilometers para lang makapunta dun sa school. And sabi niya, sir, kaya kami lumalaban dahil gusto namin na magandang kinabukasan para sa mga anak namin, para sa mga apo namin. Sabi namin sa kanila, Commander, dahil sa school na to, yung magandang kinabukasan na gusto nyo, makukuha natin. Yung pagbabago na gusto nyo, makuha natin in 5 years, magkakaroon kayo ng marunong magsulat, magbasa yung anak nyo. 10 years, marami na sila alam. 15 years, magiging na silang social worker, magiging professional. Hindi ba ito yung gusto nyo mangyari? Bakit ka pa lalaban kung yung gusto mo ibigay na namin sa'yo? Bakit ka pa lalaban kung yung pinaglalaban mo para sa gobyerno, eto na, nasa harapan mo na? So that's the developmental aspect of conflict. And in the end, sa kampo mismo nila, the same flag that they raised in Zamboanga City that started the Zamboanga Siege, killed hundreds, displaced thousands, the same flag sa kampo nila na binaba nila. And the young MNLFs were raising the Philippine flag without a single shot fired.
Yun naman po talaga yung gusto natin marating. No? So,
Yes,
5 years bago mabigay yung mga basic needs. Sir, ilang taon kaya bago kayo maging spokesperson?
Sir, mas maganda sa ground eh. Mas maganda sa ground.
Some people are called to be on ground. Pero yun nga, sana you can like affect those people representing you also to communicate this well like you do now.
Sir, marami pong operators tayo sa ground and I only represent one of them. Marami pang mas magagaling dyan, silently doing their work.
Yes.
The thing is, we must just understand where people are coming from.
That's true.
It's about understanding kasi peace cannot be achieved through force, sabi nga ni Einstein.
That's true.
It can only be achieved through understanding. And really, the MNLFs have taught us a lot.
Yes. Okay. Sabi nga, later babalikan natin yung point ng AFP as national builder, not as human rights violators.
Yes.
So, speaking of silent workers, dito proud kami mga Atenista. At ito, really a silent worker. Pasig Mayor, Victor, ang haba pala ng pangalan niya talaga, Victor Maria Regis Sotto. Kaibigan ko yung mga magulang nito, pero yun, best known for being anti-EPAL. Mayor Vico is a role model for good governance, changing many outdated policies and being as transparent as can be. He leads the new wave of government officials adapting to the modern needs of the constituents. Vico, congratulations and thank you for gracing our invitation. You're our man, our person of the year. Vico, I know you're not keen on awards at all. Why is this very special?
First of all, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat, aking mga fellow awardees, of course Sir Noel, sa mga manonood, tagapakinig po natin. Happy Chinese New Year din po pala.
Happy Chinese New Year. And Happy Valentine's Day also.
Happy Valentine's Advance. Okay. Happy Valentine's Day din po. Ito pong award, syempre isa po siyang malaking karangalan. Hindi ko rin naman po in-expect, especially from years ago, nababasa lang natin to sa dyaryo, and then all of a sudden, nandito na tayo. But to me, more than the honor or the prestige, it's the hope that more people, especially young people, young leaders, will see the examples of si Captain Ron,
Grabe, no?
si
Oo,
George of Angkas, si Dr. and all of the examples that we have here of really, we see examples of servant leadership here.
yes.
I hope that more than the honor and prestige to the individuals that are here with us now, that it will inspire more people to be servant leaders as well.
Very good, Vico. Ito nga, na-underscore yung pangangailangan ng edukasyon at saka health, no? And those are really your primary programs when you run for public office. I remember, bago ka pa man mag-swear in, no, sa Pasig, you guested in Radyo Katipunan, and those were really your platforms, no? Health and education. How are you faring there in Pasig with regards to health and education? Well, I have to tell you this, no? I researched also, you inaugurated new school buildings using public funds, and you said walang makikitang mukha, pangalan, or initials ng mga politiko dyan sa mga ganyang mga pag-inaugurate. So rule talaga ni Vico Sotto yon.
Well, hopefully, when it comes to health and education, which are two of our top priorities here, hopefully passing marks naman po. But the bottom line is we want to do things differently here. Tayo pong mga Pilipino, lalo na yung mga kabataan, nakikita po natin na ang dami nating gustong baguhin, ang dami natin nakikita na mali, nakasanayan pero hindi tama, even practices of corruption that have been normalized throughout the years. And all of us want to see change in our country. Just like my fellow leaders here, the reason why they're doing what they're doing is to promote change or to fight for the change that they want to see. And so kami dito sa Pasig, our team here, our governance team, our heart is really to do things differently. Kahit sabihin ng mas senior sa amin or kahit sabihin ng traditional politician, ay, hindi pwede yan. Kailangan pag may project ka, maglagay ka ng malaking mukha mo, kundi hindi malalaman ng tao. We choose to go against the flow. We choose to go against the flow and to say that, if it doesn't work, then so be it. But at least we try to do things in the way that we think is the right way.
Sabi mo nga, yung laptops, yung mga tablets ng mga guro at yung mga estudyante, inayos nyo yan. Yung palakasin yung primary healthcare system, yan yung last na tungo sa pagsulong ng universal healthcare system. Yung 5,000 to 12,000 na sweldo ng mga tao na nagbibigay ng healthcare. Yes. Kakaiba, di ba? So Vico, after 2 years of being mayor, ano yung major lessons learned dyan sa pamumuno, sa governance? Di ka ba napaso?
Napapaso din. Siyempre, nagkakamali din naman nagkakamali din ng team. Wala naman perfectong lokal na pamahalaan. We're learning also along the way. But one thing that I really realized the importance of, especially in my first 3 months as mayor, is the importance of good communication.
That's true.
Kahit may ang hirap i-balance. Ang hirap i-balance. Yun nga, nabanggit nyo, anti-EPAL. Ako, anti-EPAL tayo. Pero at the same time, kailangan din malaman ng tao kasi nasa demokrasya tayo eh. Kailangan alam ng taong bayan kung anong ginagawa ng pamahalaan niya. So hindi tayo pwedeng masyadong tahimik din. So, kailangan i-communicate ng maayos. And we found that, I found very early on that if you're too quiet, even if you're working, the people don't know that you're doing something.
Galing.
They'll be uneasy also. Yun nga po, nasa democratic government tayo, the government can only do so much as the people will support it. Kailangan merong suporta din ng tao. So it's always a balancing act.
Ang galing. Vico, sasagutin to ng mga kasama mo rin, kasama natin dito sa TOYM, no? What was that defining moment of character dyan sa pamumuno mo sa Pasig? Yung tipong nagsabi, ito yung halaga ko. Dito ako tinatawag at ito yung kaibahan na may offer ko sa mga kababayan ko. Ano yung test na, at paano mo yun hinarap? At di ba, ikaw, you're very reflective too, no? You're doing a lot of things, but sabi nga, nung una tayo nag-usap, there's an action, reflection, action stage. Also, hindi lang banat ng trabaho. At yung mga nakapaligid sa'yo, konsyensya mo yan eh. So, at what point did you feel na, okay, ito yung defining moment or defining parang test din sa'yo na lumabas yung character mo at sinabing, sige, pagbubutihin ko itong ginagawa ko?
That's a very, very difficult question to answer. No? Pero sa akin, one of the defining moments, yung una ako may natanggihan na ₱1,000,000. Kasi the nature of our job, the nature of LG, kung tinanggap ko yun, baka
Galing.
wala naman nakaalam. But yung mananatili yung integridad mo na
Galing.
kahit walang nakatingin, I think that was, and yung nagawa ko na siya. Siyempre, ang diling sabihin from the outside, ano.
That's true.
You know,
Diba,
when I
pero
was
nung
younger, I was...
nandun, yeah.
Oo, Sir Noel. Ako, I admit, I was somewhat judgmental also before when I was still outside of government. Pag may nakikita tayong balita na ganyan, ano ba naman to? Dali-dali lang. But when you're there, it's actually, it's much harder than it is. I'm sure my fellow awardees would, you know, kahit hindi lang naman sa gobyerno yan eh. Even sa private sector, sa military, nasa hospital ka, it's the same for everyone. Ano? Yung integridad natin na kahit walang nakatingin, are you still the same person? I think that's the greatest test. And when I became mayor, you know, I was quickly tested, and hopefully I'll be able to look back, you know, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and say that I passed. But of course, I can't take all the credit.
It's your team.
Nagagawa ko lang yan dahil meron akong team ng solid people around me who will keep me accountable also. Kasi
that you got from the private sector sa mga kaibigan mo talaga,
yes,
di ba?
Meron mas experience sa akin, meron less experience, meron from private, meron from other LGU, meron from nandito na rin sa LGU na na-identify. But I think the bottom line is when it comes to integrity, ang hirap kung mag-isa lang tayo eh. And definitely ako hindi ko kakayanin kung mag-isa lang ako. But people around me who share the same vision, who share the same ideals, who share the same principles, they're the people who are able to keep me where I am and able to keep me in the right path.
And grounded, no? Parang Envico also, how did you resist all these offers for political affiliations? Ikaw lang yung tipong, ay, wala, o parang, si Vico pwedeng maging mas mataas yung posisyon, pero ikaw yung walang papogi na moves na magpapa-interview every morning tungkol sa accomplishments mo. At yun na nga, parang in the end, yung mga accomplishments mo na lang hiniherald ng mga nakababayan mo sa Pasig. Paano yun? Rule mo ba talagang ayaw magpa-interview? Kaya nga, thank you, nagpa-interview ka ngayon.
Excuse me, hindi na. Nagpapa-interview naman ako, Sir Noel. Yun nga
pero
lang, syempre,
para
priority
magbuhat
yung
diba?
trabaho. Minsan, again, going back to my earlier, what I said earlier about good communication. So, minsan kailangan mo rin talaga magpa-interview, kailangan mo rin talaga sabihin sa tao kung ano yung ginagawa. Pero hindi dapat yun yung mauuna. Dapat pangalawa o pangatlo lang yun sa priority natin.
That's true. At ipakita mo yung sarili mo, nagfe-Facebook live ka na lang kasi nako-cover naman nun. Hindi na kailangan yung mag-ayos pa sa umaga para yon survey ng lahat ng mga talk shows. Pero yon, that's nice. But how do you like evade those questions about political affiliations and political strategying, no, papunta sa 2022 elections?
Well, and ako tingin ko kasi, this is my personal opinion. I might be wrong or the people might disagree with me, but I feel like we've been masyado tayong binary thinking eh, na DDS ka ba o dilawan? Hindi lahat ng tao DDS o dilawan. Pro-government ka ba o komunista? Hindi lang yun yung dalawang choice. Some people are pro-government but they're also critical at times, and that's okay to be critical. It's okay to express our opinions. We have the freedom of expression. Kasi hindi ka lang yung naninira na gusto mo lang manira, but it's for a constructive purpose. I think, this is, again, we're in a democracy. This is very valuable or invaluable na people are free to express their opinions. And when I entered politics, when I first ran, I ran as an independent. When I ran for mayor, I joined a very small party called Action Democratico. Actually, I did reject several offers from bigger parties, but it's not because I have anything against them per se, but I just want to maintain my independence, yung independent thinking ko na kung maganda yung ginagawa, fully support. Pero meron din akong sariling utak. Hindi lang po kung ano yung sabihin na A ka lang ba or B. And I think, even on social media, we see how polarized everything is, how polarized our politics is. Para sa akin, sobra na eh. So we need to find, hindi ibig sabihin nagigitna ka lang, but let's be issue-based. Let's be issue-driven na hindi tayo personality-centered sa politika natin, kundi based on the issues tayo, based sa anong problema, anong pwedeng solusyon.
Galing, no? And what do you do then pag may ganon, Vico, no? So, you see the national level na tipong it's so polarizing. So, parang you focus on your realm, no? And do good there. Kasi yun naman, in the end, you'll be judged by your accomplishment in the local level. So, hindi ka nagpapa-apekto sa ganong polarization. Paano mo nagagawa yun?
Well, I feel, Sir Noel, that as a mayor, siguro iba kung congressman ako, pero as a mayor, kailangan ang pangunahing concern ko yung LGU ko. Yung LGU namin dito sa Pasig. Ano yung issues namin dito sa Pasig? Sino yung makakatulong sa amin para solusyonan yung mga issues namin o yung mga problema namin? Anong partido galing yan? Welcome. Basta, again, let's stay issue-based. And for me, when it comes to politics, my focus should be not just because I want to, but I think it should be really just focusing here in the local government where I'm assigned right now.
And there's a lot of things to be learned there. Now, I'll give you time to interact with one another. Ang daming magagandang punto on communications, on health and education. Sir Edgar, again, paki-mute yan. Sir, yun nga, ano yung defining moment nyo bilang guro na sa tingin nyo parang pwede nyong ma-pass on dun sa young generation? Kasi yan yung inspirasyon ng mga TOYM awardees.
Well, as a teacher, it would be my advocacy in education for all. So tama yung sinasabi ni Mayor Vico na kailangan talaga mayroong support system dahil hindi naman talaga magagawa natin mag-isa ito. So with the help of other personalities, mga generous individuals, syempre sa yung family, makapaggawa ka ng makapag-improve ng ating mga community. So through the efforts of the support system of my family and other personalities, we're able to contribute. Made an outstanding contribution to education because ako po ay isang guro, and we were able to change the lives of the underserved children and indigenous communities to make their dreams alive and empower them to multiply the impact that we once gave to them. And through that, they will be able to help their own families, communities, and to our country. So sana po ito'y pwedeng gayahin at makapag-inspire ng ibang tao.
At kung collab rin lang, di ba si Attorney Leslie nandyan sa World Bank at saka si Mayor Vico, grabe yung suporta sa kanya ng private sector. Maganda rin na itap yun. Yun yung isa sa mga learnings, no? Parang minsan burdened na masyado yung gobyerno pero kusa talaga yung private sector na tumutulong. George, ikaw, what is it about you na masasabi mong turning point na pwedeng may matutunan yung mga bata?
I think sa akin yung it's really life is all about problem solving, Sir Noel.
Yeah.
Maraming tao try to look at life na para mawala yung problema. Hindi nila na-realize, and they should realize na yung problema laging andyan. It's how you look at the problem. Alam niyo, yung nawala po yung angkas because of COVID. Siyempre, bawal yung public transportation. Siyempre, parang nawalan din ako ng trabaho.
Yes.
So, I really need to learn about COVID. So I joined Joy Concepcion back then, back in the day sa Go Negosyo. I was already a mentor pero I joined them in his efforts to push for localized lockdown sa imbis na citywide lockdown. And then also for mga rapid tests. Dati binabatikos pa wala pa mga testing dati walang mga labs, walang Philippine Red Cross. All we had was very minimal and we didn't know anything about COVID, no. In fact, nag-usap kami ni Mayor Vico long time ago regarding this. Siya pinakaunang LGU na nag-push ng testing talaga dun sa kanyang mga medical.
Grabe, no? Lahat ng mga pioneering programs niya, hindi ko nga alam, parang left field yung mga staff niya, meron na lang nag-hover na tagalinis, naglilinis ng buong Pasig, nagdo-disinfect, no? Parang hindi ina-announce, pero tahimik na ginagawa. Parang yun, sa iyo, paano ka naka-adjust dahil nga dun sa nangyari nga na pagpapaalis ng angkas at a certain point?
Imbis na, problema po ko, talagang ginawa po natin ng paraan. Naghanap po tayo ng paraan. And I think that's what lahat po tayo dito sa TOYM, lahat ng mga fellow awardees, that's one thing that we have in common. Naghahanap po tayo ng paraan no matter what, even if the odds are against us. We find a way to push forward, no? And nag-aral po ako ng COVID. I joined a task force called Task Force T3. This is Test, Trace, and Treat. And this is the private sector task force that's working with the government, no? Okay. When we started, the testing centers were less than 20 back in April. And this was increased in just 3 months' time to more than 100. Now we have 220 testing laboratories, 50% of which is PRC. We're doing about 30,000 tests today. Every day po yan, no? From less than 2,000. And this is all because of the private sector cooperating with the government. Nagtulungan po yan. But Philippine Red Cross is not government. That's a private sector initiative. Then we had all of the big conglomerates come in. SM came in. All of the big names that tumulong po talaga, nagtulungan, nagbayanihan. Tapos yung nalaman ko po, yung ginagawa po namin to, kasama ko po si Secretary Vince Leeds and Secretary Charlie Galvez, yung sinasabi po ni Leslie at sinasabi po ni Mayor Vico rin na yung communications kulang na kulang. Ang daming ginagawa pero hindi naman po nakakarating sa tao. Which is why we decided to do yung initial comms po namin, yung ingat-angat tayong lahat.
I know that. Kaibigan ko si Margot Torres.
I'm colleague with Margot.
You got wiring or opposite companies, tapos nagsama-sama para doon. Pero yun nga, parang yung sagot na rin ng ibang tao, parang sige kayo mga kumpanya, okay kayo dyan, pero yung basic ayuda ng mga tao sa baba kulang pa din.
Alam mo, you can't please anyone, Sir Noel, diba? You just have to do what you can. In fact, kami ni Margot, ngayon, we're really working on the vaccine program. Kami po yung core comms ng vaccine program, and hirap na hirap po talaga yung gobyerno. And one thing I've learned dito sa COVID pandemic na to, during the times of crisis, hindi po tama po si Mayor Vico, hindi po dapat binary, hindi po yun us against them. We live in a world of gradients. And you need to be able to be agile to come together and cooperate despite kaaway mo, kalaban mo, hindi mo gusto yung sinabi niya. It's a whole of nation approach. And yung bayanihan spirit, nakita po talaga natin ngayon during this time of the pandemic. I have to say that, no? Everyone's been working together, from the private entities like Unilab to ICTSI, bringing yung Moderna vaccines po, private sector, yung po pa nagpapasok. Nagtutulungan po tayo with the government. AstraZeneca was an initiative of Tessie and Joey Concepcion undergo negosyo, working with the government in a tripartite agreement. And then the LGUs came in front of the national government. In fact, Pasig was one of the first that put a budget on the vaccines. 1 billion po yata, Mayor, yung budget nyo. And talaga pong walang may credit. Wala ring sisihan.
It's really looking for spaces na pwedeng mag-agree and move forward rather than yung pagtatalo, no?
But you will fight. You will fight. I mean, we fight with doctors all the time behind closed doors, Sir Raymond, with HPAC, with the Philippine Medical Association, with PPS, especially yung pinupush natin yung bata below 10 years old and above, pwedeng na makalabas. Tapos yung MMC din, the Metro Manila Council. But everyone has the same goal, is to be safe and to reopen the economy para hindi tayo mamatay sa gutom. But getting there will be a lot of trials and tribulations, and we really need to work together as a whole. And we have been doing that. Kailangan malaman ng tao.
We just have to communicate.
Konsepto. Ginawa po natin to ng 1 taon. Imagine in 10 months' time, we've tested 8 million people. Almost 10 million target na po tayo in a month's time. Our positivity rate is less than 10%. Our R0 is 0.9. Ang ganda po ng sitwasyon natin. And of course, napupolitika, definitely. But tama na po yung politika. Kung ang Coke at Pepsi nagsama sa isang video, kaya po natin tanggalin yung rivalries natin and push
Jollibee and McDonald's also in the video. Well, let's talk to the comps person. Attorney Leslie, paano na to? So, what are the spaces for collaboration? No? So, we see all the good intentions of these people. Yan siguro yung contribution mo, Leslie. At this point, it's kind of muddled. The communications is kakaiba kasi parang nasisit na down yung mga tao, di ba? So, how do you work from there?
I think from the World Bank perspective, be an honest broker. Kasi, di ba, parang an opportunity to bring all the other sectors together. Kasi sometimes people say that a government is too political and, di ba, polarizing. So if you have an honest broker in the midst, pwede mong dalhin lahat. Sit
Vico
on the
Sotto,
table.
go.
Yeah. And then mag-usap-usap. Pero I think this is a very good opportunity kasi
Yeah.
people coming from different sectors, different fields, different perspectives. But what I can see and I think promising in terms of yung future is yung ability to think beyond.
That's
And, di ba, while everyone here is addressing their own concerns and helping out the country, there's also that ability to think ahead. How do we bring more young people to get involved, di ba? And
That's
then, Noel, I think important yung sa communication ba? Yung
That's true.
positivism, yung positivity. Kasi minsan ayaw mo na tumingin sa Facebook kasi full of negative things and people yung nag-aaway-away, yung ganyan. But
Totoo yan. So how do we do it? Ang galing, no? Parang at this point, parang hindi natin sinusukuan and to look beyond yung pagtatalo ng mga tao.
Right.
So
I
how do
think-
you do it now, Leslie? Parang na hindi ka ilalabel na dilawan or laban sa gobyerno.
Okay lang malabel, pero sige, tulong-tulong. More on, I think, choosing a few things where people can work together. So whether it's education, it's dealing with a pandemic, or jobs creation,
That's true.
or preparedness for disasters and crisis.
That's true.
These are, I think, issues na pwede tayong lahat tumulong and hindi
Totoo yan.
kailangan haluan ng politika.
Totoo yan. Kasi di ba parang Mayor Vico Sotto, the Marikina Mayor, kaya naman nila earlier on, di ba? Parang yung COVID response nila, proactive talaga, no? So parang yun, parang ang daming magagandang example. Sir, Dr. Raymond. So, from where you sit there as a doctor, as a medical frontliner, ano sa tingin nyo yung parang yung turning point natin at saan tayo pwedeng magsama-sama?
So from what I gather, it's really from an inductive analysis po of the situation, no? For the whole 10, maybe 11 months now that we are in the pandemic, it has
Ramdam
been
nating lahat 'yon, di ba?
it has been a series of decisions.
That's
So if you break it down, like for example, when I'm in front of a patient, when I prescribe something, I recommend that you take this, make lifestyle changes, but it really is a decision on the patient. For all of us, all of the decision making has been following based on IATF resolutions, yun po yung direksyon ng gobyerno. And then for those who will be taking the vaccine, who will not be taking the vaccine, it's also a decision. So really, it's a series of forks in the road. So when you try to select what path you would want to take, like for example in the earlier kwento of Mayor Vico during his early days, that was a decision that he wanted to take. And each and every one of us here being role models, it really shows the decisions that we have taken that led us to this path. But what will make you outstanding? What will make you outstanding would be applying critical thinking in terms of the decisions that you have been taking. You have to ask yourself, when I do this, will it be something that I will be adding value to? Will it be something that I will be contributing to something more than myself, than my institution, than my family, or than my university? If there is a call for you to be able to help out, not just in local but regional or national government, and let's say if you envision that it's something that would be overwhelming, maybe onerous or burdensome for you eventually in the long run, just because of its effects on your personal life, mental health, etc., etc. But setting that aside, at the end of the day, when you ask yourself, is this something that will help people more than myself? It's this something that will will turn around and affect my personal life, my family. It really boils down to that decision. It becomes easier for you to be able to arrive at that particular decision.
It's really beyond you. Sa parang nga, Sir Ron Villarosa, no? Parang it's not about you. Service is not about you. So, sir, ano yung sa inyo naman yung defining factor na okay na pwede niyong mapason dun sa mga kababayan natin, yung mga kabataan? Sa example niyo po, at lalo na narinig niyo yung mga kwento ng iba't ibang sektor, no? So, saan po yung spaces natin of intervention or collaboration?
Nabanggit niyo na rin po kanina, no? It really takes a team to accomplish a mission. It takes a team to deliver. I think that's common sa lahat sa amin, no? And ang importante lang doon is you have the passion to convert it into action. You should always aspire for positive change. Be constructive. Always listen to criticism. Na hindi porke nabanggit ko kanina, you don't have to be polarized. Isa yan sa problema namin ngayon eh. People are so polarized. Puro anti. It's not, when you look at the ground, hindi naman yun eh. It's about how you take the problem and act on it constructively and capacitate yourself para meron kang magawa doon sa problema. If you think that problem is for you, then solve it. If not, capacitate yourself. Kapag hindi naman, then perhaps let others do the job, pero contribute. To the least, at least contribute. Wag mong sirain, hayaan mo sila gawin yung trabaho nila. You act within your bounds. For example, kanina, nabanggit naman ni Mayor Vico kanina na if you're working for Pasig, then work for Pasig. Wag kang makialam sa ibang ginagawa. If I'm working for Basilan, politics aside at the national level, you work within Basilan, within your municipality. And the same is true din kay Dr. Sarmiento. If you're working on a patient, work on the patient. Wag mong pakialamanan yung ibang pasyente. So the same thing goes. You just have to be the change you want to see. If you think na the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, then might as well diligan mo na rin yung sayo. Kasi at the end of the day, this is your fence. This is our country. Nag-iisa lang yung bansa natin. If we let this country go to ruins, tayo din yung at fault doon. Tayo din yung mahihirapan. So you should always look beyond kung anong magagawa mo, capacitate yourself, and exercise discipline sa lahat ng initiative na gagawin mo. Always aspire to have a team that will help you kasi really lahat naman ng ginagawa natin dito, it's teamwork.
You can't do it alone, no? Yeah, that's true.
You can't do it alone, sir. Yun lang. Always deliver. Yung sinasabi nga sa amin sa military, always deliver, always accomplish. At the end of the day, it's about you accomplishing your mission. Stick to your mission, accomplish your mission, and you will do change. You will inflict change, that positive change na gusto mo.
Galing. Vico, you have to answer this now. Do you think the young people, since you're all parang representing the outstanding batch of young people, no, are doing enough for the country now? And in what areas do you think pwede pang sumabak itong mga kabataan? Kasi parang yun, your award actually or your recognition is really to inspire young people to act more or to follow your lead. So, do you think they're acting enough to do something for the country or kaya pa? Or saang areas mo nakikita na pwede pang tumingkad yung kanilang participation?
But to be honest, I feel like for every one of us here who is getting an award, there are probably 1,000 other unnamed young people who are doing what they can, who are working very hard to effect positive change in their communities. Baka yung iba nasa prominent positions, yung iba baka behind the scenes, hindi nakikilala yung ginagawa nila. But for maybe some young people are watching or listening now, the important thing is we just see where we're at, the circumstances around us, and we try to do our best. And it sounds a bit cliche or corny, just do your best, but that's really all we can do. And let's find ways. Wag tayo maging passive na mag-aantay tayo ng pagkakataon para magpakilala ng pagbabago. Bagkus maghanap tayo ng mga paraan, gumawa tayo ng paraan kung wala tayong makita para magpakilala ng mga pagbabago. Magsimula tayo sa barangay natin, engage natin yung barangay government natin. O kung ayaw natin dun, sumali tayo ng NGO. Ang daming paraan, no? Hindi tayo mauubusan ng paraan para tumulong sa positibong pagbabago ng ating lungsod, ng ating bansa.
Ganda. No? So, Vico, anong engagement ng mga kabataan doon sa inyo, sa sector mo sa Pasig?
For us here, we're really trying to open up the doors of governance here in Pasig. So we have the local youth development council. Lahat naman po ng LGU may local youth development council. But what we want to make sure is that it's not just a token body or in name only, but we want to make sure that they are the young people in Pasig, whether through the SK or through their NGOs and CSOs, have a say in our governance. Dapat marinig natin yung boses at hindi tayo titigil sa narinig lang yung boses nila. Isama natin sila mula sa pagbabalangkas ng programa hanggang sa evaluation, hanggang dun sa dulo, dapat kasama po sila. And we've seen really a surge in the number of young people who are participating in local governments, and to me that's very, very encouraging. They have ideas that I've never heard of before. They share things that they introduce things that they want to do. And, namumuna sila pag may nakikita silang pwede pa natin pagandahin dito, and so on and so forth. But what's important is that we, for the government side, we give them opportunities, we open the doors of governance. But yung side naman ng mga kabataan, mga grupo ng kabataan, pilitin ninyo na magkaroon ng pagkakataon na makilahok kayo sa paggugobyerno.
Isa sa mga criticism kasi ngayon, kasi pag pumupuna ka raw, Vico, parang napapersecute ka or parang na-label ka. Kasi at karamihan sa mga pumupuna yung mga kabataan. Ano yung attitude mo bilang government official dun sa mga pumupuna at lalo na yung mga kabataan na very critical of certain policies na ginagawa ng gobyerno?
Siguro, Sir Noel, kasi ang tendency, human nature lang po, pag nasa posisyon ka na ng kapangyarihan, kunyari, ako po bilang mayor, kapag may mamumuna, may magsasabi na, bakit ganyan yung project na to, dapat ayusin mo yan, akala ko ba health priority mo, bakit sa ospital punong-puno yung minsan ang tendency kasi pag nasa poder ka na, maging defensive.
Yes.
And that it's only human nature. So I think, as people in position in positions of power, kailangan aware tayo doon na teka, ano ba yung kung may namumuna or may nagbibigay ng kritisismo, ano ba yung intention niya? There's a difference between namumuna kasi gusto niyang mapaganda yung sistema, mapaganda yung paggogobyerno, dun sa wala, basher lang yan, troll lang kasi yan. Kung troll, pwede mo nang baliwaliin yan. No? Kung paid, bayad lang yan na troll at gumawa lang yan ng account para manira at gumagawa ng kwento, iba yun. Pero kung hinaing niya yung pinaparating niya sa'yo, kung may nakikita siya na pwedeng pagandahin pa, ba't natin hindi pakikinggan? And I think we should be, leaders should not be defensive. Leaders should accept this constructive criticism.
And you encourage that, no? Parang those constructive criticism.
Yes, at nagbubukas tayo ng avenues for that constructive criticism and feedback.
Na may ayos, no? Ang galang. Sana maraming matuto sa iyo sa gano'n, no? Anyway, Sir Edgar naman, sa tingin niyo po ba yon yung involvement ng mga kabataan, pwede pang patingkarin o mas palawigin pa? At anong social action sa tingin mo yung kailangan natin mula sa kabataan ngayon?
For me, kailangan talaga yung active participation ng ating youth sa ngayon dahil nga kagaya sa ginagawa ko, meron po ako ditong tinatawag na network of youth volunteers and young professionals. So talagang napakahalaga po ang kanilang role po bilang isang kabataan at talagang dapat pag-ibayuhin, palawigin pa ang kanilang participation, lalong-lalo na po sa pagtulong at saka dahil kapag meron po silang active participation, ito'y talagang napakahalaga, lalong-lalo na po sa pamamalakad. Makatulong po ito sa mas maganda pa na mga programa at proyekto ng ating pamahalaan at makatulong din ito para gawa pa ng mga epektibong mga programa para po sa komunidad po natin.
Lalo na sa edukasyon, no? But George, in your sector, in your apostolate, yung sa angkas, how can the youth help you in that cause?
Alam niyo po, laki pong kapangyarihan ng kabataan ngayon, no? Ngayon sa panahon natin, iba na po ang industriya ng public information or information dissemination. Meron na po tayong social media. At yung angkas po ay nabubuhay lang ngayon dahil po sa kapangyarihan ng social media. Yung kami po ay naaapi dati ng gobyerno at pinasirado po kami, yung social media po ang bumulusok at nag-mobilize upang mabigay ng pansin sa mga kongreso at sa senado at yung aming kaso, yung aming mga pinaglalaban. And the youth right now do participate. In fact, lagi po silang online, lagi po silang woke. Diba? Nandiyan po sila sa social media lagi. And I think they can participate in a lot of different positive ways, no? Than they know. They need to use this as a tool and as a tool for positive change. And I think that's something that every single person has the power and is capable of doing. And nakikita naman po natin. Marami pong batiko sa social media, maraming eksperto. Okay lang po yun. Maraming negatibo, marami rin positibo. Pero the fact of the matter is, meron po tayong diskusyon. Meron po tayong discourse. Yun ang pinaka-importante kasi may pakialam po ang kabataan sa nangyayari sa atin.
That's
And
good.
this is something that we need to push. We need to embrace despite negative sentiments or positive sentiments. Yung ingat buhay ingat-angat tayong lahat po. Ang ganda-ganda nagsasabi pero sinabi nila ano naman resilience porn, maraming negatibo. Pero these are mindsets and these are perspectives that you need to put together, unify, no, and really enact for and push for positive change. Yung kabataan ngayon has that power than any other generation that precedes them. They have the power to make the change, and they have done so all over the country, and continue to do so in the Philippines.
Ikaw na yung nasa iyo na yung boto ng mga millennials. Anyway, Dr. Raymond, now I have to go to the UP because your schoolmates are the ones really there dun sa UP Commune 50th anniversary, no? What do you make of their protests now dun sa abrogation ng D&D Accord ng UP, and how do you feel about it?
So it was surprising that there was a unilateral abrogation of the agreement, just because there was no dialogue to begin with. When you try to enter into an agreement like that, it's very shocking that not just any agreement, but in any, let's say, engagement, partnership, or kung ano man ito, nakakagulat kung yung isang partido ay ayaw na pala niya, tapos ikaw ay may mindset pa rin na ganoon, di ba? So that's something, I think it's on a larger scale, even though I'm referencing something on an individual perspective, on a larger scale po na institutional, yun po ay mas nakakagulat. It would have been, my belief is that it would have been better if there was a discussion prior to that, just because it signified that there was pagpapahalaga na ilalagay po dun po sa kapwa, kasi it's an agreement, so it's a party that you would essentially enter into agreement with. You want to be able to show that kind of respect to the other party with regards to that. So what I have seen in terms of the news updates, that there is an ongoing discussion between the DND and the University of the Philippines system. Very, very welcome po yun. I think that was something that that whole thing could have been avoided if yun po yung nauna, instead that you put the cart before the horse, kumbaga. It's something that will have been very important for that entire situation.
At least nasasabi mo ng kalmado. Vico, I have to ask you, because even our school was accused of that too. At Ateneo, well, the management, or at least administration, also issued a statement on that. Yung panghihimasok nga ng ibang mga tao. Do you think it's necessary?
Well, can you repeat the first part of the question? Sorry.
Yes, sir. Even Ateneo was drawn into the picture at a certain point dun sa, yun nga, abrogation ng D&D Accord. Wala namang accord sa Ateneo, and we've such a safe campus anyway. But then nadawit din yung eskwelahan natin.
I'm sure the leaders of our school just do what they think is best, based on their convictions also. So again, wala naman masama na i-express natin yung opinion natin sa isang bagay.
Correct. Now we go to the military. Huliin natin yung babae dyan. So, kasi yun yung magtutuldok dun sa issue na yun. Sir, Captain Villarosa, how do you feel about it? Nung parang yung mga kabataan, parang, they were taken aback with that decision of the military, the DND. Iba kasi yung talks, di ba, with DND and with the AFP.
Yeah. Sir, pagdating dyan, I would also have to go with the statement of Mayor Vico. So there are higher institutions with far more understanding kung ano talaga yung nangyayari. So I think I have to leave the issue as is. Ang sa akin lang is I have to focus on my ground, what I'm doing on the ground, so it can affect in the long term, 5, 10, 15 years, maybe in the future, it could affect the youth na nandun sa area kung saan kami po-focus. So whatever their struggle at the national level, then siguro it's coming from a different perspective. Pero from our perspective, we focus on the different localities where we are inflicting positive change. Kasi at this point, it is beyond my capacity. Wala din ako magagawa dyan. So we leave it to them, being experts. At this time, hindi po ako eksperto dyan. I do what I have to do on the ground to help people.
But you understand where people are coming from, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I understand. Pero again, if I cannot contribute anything positive and actually be in the capacity to do it, then I leave it as is. That's their war, that's their battle. You choose your battles. I can do better dito sa ground. I would not drag myself into something that I am not really an expert or capacitated para gawin yan. So I do what I have to do. We help the people on the ground, and that's all that matters. These people probably, pag educated enough na sila, then we can start a new breed or a new generation that could probably say that's already irrelevant para pag-usapan. Kasi maayos naman ang lahat eh. Bakit kailangan pa natin magtalo dyan? So,
I can't wait. I can't wait for that generation to take over. Let's now ask yung haplos ng kababaihan, Attorney Leslie. How can you address this dissonance, and then sa tingin mo parang paano mako-communicate ito better into yun mas buo at mas firm at mas siguro kalmadong aksyon para sa mga
well, I was caught off guard. Out of left field, di ba? Wala namang nag-provoke. And then all of a sudden, government did this. So I was looking at it from the perspective of government, of why.
Yeah.
And they should have done it and handled it better. In the sense mentioned by Raymond, na mag-usap, di ba? Communicate. There's nothing wrong with
so. And given the situation now, how could parang haplos ng isang ganyan, kababaihan na pwedeng hilutin ba yung mga bagay-bagay na yan? Or how?
I think so. Pwede naman eh. And pwede lahat pag-usapan. So reaching out, that extending that hand and getting everyone to sit and talk. Because di ba? Right now, I think yung statements out there is not helping. And making a unilateral statement is not helping. So there's always that opportunity. And tama rin yung reaction for me ng mga tao because I think everyone was caught off guard. Sa lahat ng mga issues na we are facing right now and we are going through, bakit ito? Di ba? There are better things to be done. But again, as what everyone mentioned, maybe there are reasons behind those decisions that we don't know. We respect that, but I think wala namang hindi nakukuha sa pag-uusap. So,
ikaw na rin isasalang ko dito to communicate with your other awardees, no? Ano pa yung spaces for intervention and parang cooperation ninyo coming from different sectors? Ang ganda lang na pagsasama-sama natin yung outstanding not students anymore, but citizens or young people. Yeah. Ano yung nakikita mong pwedeng collaboration? Kasi kung kayo yung nandun at magbibigay ng mga desisyon at magbibigay ng mga polisiya, siguro kung ganito kakalmado at kaayos yung presentasyon, mas paniniwalaan. So, tingin mo, ano yung pwede yung spaces for collaboration?
Ako, I'll go small but big yung impact in the sense na we need to share and tell the stories of everyone here and those who came before us sa TOYM. Kasi now more than ever, nafe-feel natin, di ba, yung hopelessness. Kasi hindi natin masyadong naririnig yung mga positive stories. And hearing all the awardees here right now, I feel parang it's daunting, but I'm also at the same time awed. Kasi yung mga stories na humble beginnings, and yet when you hear their stories, when you see them and you look at what they are doing, it's so inspiring. And we need more young people to hear these stories. Yung mga nasa Mindanao, nasa Visayas, kasi hindi siya everyday that you get to hear their stories. So we need to put out those stories out there, not for anything else, hindi naman sa yung pagpapa-epal, but more on ma-realize ng mga tao na even if you're an ordinary person, I feel and I consider myself as a probinsyana. So a simple probinsyana from Cebu, my dad's from Surigao, but kaya naman natin marating when you're given an opportunity and you take a stand. So I think we can do that. Find a small activity and a platform where we can share our stories. And then, let's say, for example, Mayor Vico talks about the opportunity to start in Pasig and do good governance. And then si George will try to highlight kung ano yung mga opportunities to do business entrepreneurship. And then Captain Ron will talk about what they are doing in the military and how they can get everyone involved. Or si Dr. Raymond, or si Edgar, diba? Because there are a lot of opportunities. And of course, si David, wag nating kalimutan. So these are powerful stories and these are things na we can do and contribute aside from what we can do in our respective fields.
Galing, no? And you being the disaster queen, no? Lalo na, ang dami nating pinagdaan ng mga delubyo. Yung tipong gano'n, yung pagtutulungan lahat talaga ng mga tao. Well, we have here another girl, Maxine Cruz, who's part of Radyo Katipunan, who's been monitoring the reactions of people while we're talking. She'll be asking the questions of our viewers. So Max, good afternoon. Hello, are you muted? No, I can't hear you. Hello, Max. Ayan na.
There.
Okay,
Is that
yeah.
better?
Okay, go.
Okay, thank you. So, first,
Louder pa. Siguro, baka si Justin na yung mag-aayos. Okay, go.
so first question is from a Pasig resident. So this is for Mayor Vico.
Lagot.
Why is there a questionable place presented to be a massage parlor at San Rafael Street, allegedly owned by a city councilor? Are there any policies for this?
Naging hoy gising naman na yung panutuntunan natin. Pero we'll check it all. Vico, go.
Oh, well, they should submit a report if they see something that is out of the ordinary. They should file a proper report with the police. Tapos pwede naman i-CC din kami, bigyan din kami ng kopya.
But are you aware of that at least? Or may naririnig ka or, well, hindi ka naman
there are 30,000 business establishments in Pasig, But if there's something, suspicious about a particular one, may mga napasara na rin naman ako in the last year or so, So, basta makita na may ebidensya na may hindi tamang nangyayari. Pero teka, parang this is not the correct
I know.
venue for that.
We're supposed to be inspiring. Anyway, Max, any other question?
Yes, the next question is for Dr. Raymond Sarmiento. So, aside from the pandemic, what are other major problems in our health system and the medical profession that need urgent attention?
Ganda yan. Kasi yun nga, yung tinanong na kanina, parang ang daming tao umalis na po, di ba, ng bansa. Parang pero kayo na natili dito. That's your inspiring story.
Thank you, Sir Noel, and thank you, Max, for that question. For the pandemic, I think there was an intensified focus po in identifying what are the solutions. Since we are all cooped up in our homes, there was a lot of introspection that has happened. So really, mental health has been at the center of all of these. Are there any mental health strategies that I can do? Mga self-help strategies or any services that I may be able to avail of? Katawagan ko po ba itong number na to? Is this doctor available? Etc. etc. So a lot of these things really push the envelope, so to speak, technology-wise. Kaya po nagkaroon ng parang pag-boom sa telehealth industry. Just because of all of this demand for doctors and patients to have a direct connection po, no? That's number one. Number two, also, there has been, let's say, pagtutok po with regard sa mga mental health services. So sa ngayon po kasi hindi po talaga ganon kalawak. Like in other countries na meron pong hotline, meron po kayo matatawagan na tao with regards to whatever you want to talk about, the availability of psychologists, maybe life coaches. Yun po kasi are things that I'd like to say na baka we are maybe a decade behind with regards to other countries. But that is something that has been put into the mainstream consciousness of people na kailangan po talagang bigyan ng pansin ang ating mental health, and then and then it really relates into forever na ba ako dito sa bahay, lagi na lang po ako dito sa bahay, and it's not really it's not more a millennial thing or a youth issue. Around the along the spectrum po, meron po tayo sa mga nasa midlife, meron po tayo sa mga matatanda na really na, syempre yung mga matatanda po natin experiencing, let's say, or have been diagnosed with dementia, or those who really have let's say movement disorders. They would want to, yung normal po nila, like just go to the mall. I mean, they very, very harmless activities before the pandemic. They couldn't even do that right now. So it's something that has to put into focus po. And something I think unless you have lived in your life na with a lolo or are living in your life with a lolo, a lola, or a tito na in the
That's
senior citizen category,
Yeah.
hindi nyo po ito marirealize na something na, ay, oo nga pala, nagagawa po ito ng lola ko dati. Ngayon po,
Correct.
hindi man lang siya makalabas ng gate. Very, very simple things, but
Correct.
it has a very huge impact. Kasi pag matutulog ka, you have to ask yourself, what happened during the 24 hours na nandito ako?
That's
Na nandito lang pala ako sa bahay. I mean, obviously technology has helped, but it's something, it's a lot of our human connections, interactions has been
Correct.
left at the wayside. Not to say that the technology aided communications has been failing, but it's iba pa rin yung ano eh, syempre, yung being Filipino, yung salo-salo, kakain, the communal sense of being part of a community. It has been it has been something na we have to set aside because we want to protect people just because of the transmissibility of this virus po.
I know, but before the next question of Max, no, ano yung lessons natin na kunyari ang post-pandemic scenario? Lessons from the pandemic that will carry even after the pandemic. Because siguro ikaw yung mauna. Parang ano yung mga natutunan natin na kahit na pagkatapos itong pandemic na to, dadalhin na rin natin with the society that we'll be living in after.
Yeah, well, sir, well, ang dami nating natutunan ngayong pandemya, no? Isa na dyan yung kailangan matuto tayong mag-adjust. Dapat mabilis tayong we think on our feet. The thing with this pandemic, it's really the first time any of us are going through this. And it's the biggest crisis that any of us have ever faced. In the course of our lifetimes, ito talaga yung pinakamalaking. So, ang question is, how do we come out of this na hindi lang basta new normal, kundi better normal? What are the things in general, but perhaps it's time to start thinking about yung specifics. We have someone here from the transport sector. Ano yung sa transport? Ano ba yung paano tayo makakalabas na nito na hindi lang basta bumalik tayo dun sa dati, kundi ito na lang yung silver lining natin from the pandemic eh. Kasi lahat ng kahirapan naramdaman na natin eh. People have lost their jobs, businesses have closed, people have died. So kung wala tayong gagawin para ma-improve man lang kung ano tayo dati o kung saan tayo galing, para saan lahat to? Puro kahirapan lang. So let's look at the silver linings. Let's look at the place. And the good thing about all of this is that people, when I look at different sectors and different industries, people are actually more open to change now. And so we should make sure that we don't waste these opportunities. Let's capitalize on these opportunities para yun man lang may magandang maidulot naman itong pandemya na ito.
Galing, no? Well, sa governance nga, yung mabilis na action, yun at yung communicated well, yun sa mga tao. Sa edukasyon, Sir Edgar, kunyari after the pandemic, you see the parang the good points of online education too.
Talagang marami po tayong natutunan because of this pandemic, lalong-lalo na sa education sector. Kasi nga, gaya ng sinabi ng Department of Education, education must continue no matter what happens. So, ngayon nga, kahit hindi nabigla ang lahat, lalong-lalo kami, wala kaming masyadong capacity training para sa mga online teaching, yung modular approach, talagang napakahirap. So very challenging po ito at talagang napakalaking lesson po bilang isang guro ang natutunan ko sa pandemya na ito. So for me, anything is possible with kindness. Yes. So we should look at the light side of every calamities para po magiging epektibo pa rin po tayo bilang isang public servant.
Okay naman, at lumawak yung mundo, no? Tipong parang ngayon siguro yun yung pwedeng manatili even after the pandemic, yung connect natin sa mas malaking lipunan at yun beyond us. Kasi doon sa online education, yun nga sa UP at sa Ateneo, pwede ka nang wala na yung exchange student na pupunta pa dito. Although iba yung experience, no? Pero you can have professors or experts sa fields nila kahit saan man. Kaya yung pagiging Manila-centric din ng edukasyon na diffuse yun, no? So, yun. Maganda yun. Sa transportation, George, ano yung takeaway natin sa pandemic na pwedeng improvement even after what we're going through?
Well, transportation always needs improving, no? All the time. With or without pandemic, ngayon walang traffic, panibagong set of problems na yung nahaharap natin. But one thing, Sir Noel, I've learned about being entrepreneur, no, is challenges are opportunities.
That's
And
true.
if you solve a problem, then you will see a positive response from people, whether they pay you for it, compensate you, create a community, push you, market you, advocate you. You need to solve a problem, and I think that's what we've learned during the pandemic is how do we now come together to solve problems on a daily basis. And one thing this pandemic has taught everybody today is kaya natin to. After 10 months, buhay pa rin tayo. After 10 months, the sun still shines. And let's not wait for things to happen. As what Mayor Vico has been saying, Leslie also, is being the disaster queen. She knows she's thinking on her feet. We have to co-create. Let's not wait for the new normal. Let's create what this new normal will be. True. Ano ba yung new normal natin? Meron na ba tayong mga air purifier sa restaurant? Yun na ba yung new normal natin? Yung meron na ba tayong mga checkpoints na kailangan gawin for barcoding pag pumapasok sa mall, sa transportation system? May barrier po ba tayo? Alfresco is the new VIP area. There's so many things we can do. I've worked with SMEs, even the restaurant community, the service industry has been hit very, very hard. And they've been doing everything in their power to not just keep afloat, but thrive in this pandemic. No? Ngayon, 50% capacity na po tayo ulit. Lahat nasa alfresco na. Nagsinarado yung daan. Naglagay ng mga upuan doon. We move forward. We have to move forward. And let's not wait for anybody to tell us what this new normal will be. Let's co-create together what we will be tomorrow, next year, next month, kasi we can do it.
Galing.
We have done it.
Since you're in the transportation sector, ano yung stand mo dun sa motor vehicle inspection na pinag-usapan ng Senado?
Alam mo po, maganda, controversial to na baka might not be the right one, but my stand here basically is maganda naman po yung intention na magkaroon po tayo ng mas maraming indicators for roadworthiness. Kasi marami naman po talagang aksidente na nagdahilan sa poor maintenance. Nakikita naman po natin sa mga barong-barong na kotse, nakikita natin sa kotse at motorsiklo na hindi na-maintain ng maayos. Ngunit kahit anong buwis po na i-impose po natin sa panahon ngayon ay hindi po talaga ma-accepta ng tao. So this is something that we need to revisit. This is something that we need to look at. Diyos ko, nagagawa po tayo ng create bill, gumagawa po tayo ng fees. Ang dami pong ginagawa natin to lower taxes, to take away additional financial burden. Then magkakaroon po tayo ng buwis sa pag-check ng sasakyan bago ma-register. Buwis po yan. And this is something that we need to think about. So we really have to be empathetic and sympathetic to the community. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but not right now. No more additional financial burden.
I'll push it pa. Isa pa. How about the car seat demand?
Again, seat belts and car seats are good. Car seats are very, very good. They save your children.
Yes.
But, imposing something that families will purchase na hindi naman po sila na lumalabas ng bahay, palabasin muna natin sila sa bahay. Let's hurdle that issue of boosting confidence of communities to go out and start purchasing, start pushing the economy forward before we slap undue financial burden to them. Now, it is true that we need it, but there are other ways other than car seat. Maybe a strap on the seat belt. Marami po tayong pwedeng pag-aralan na additional straps, additional restraints that doesn't necessarily require big purchases like these.
Yeah.
Simple.
Okay. Ron, ikaw naman sa military. So, what's the new normal like or post-pandemic scenario in the military na improvements na gusto mong makita sana?
Siguro, sir, if anything, the pandemic has provided an opportunity for the AFP to showcase yung aming capability not only in war fighting but also as agents to push national interest and to further serve the people. Actually, sir, during the pandemic, wala na ako dun sa arena sa Mindanao. During the pandemic, I was transferred to Northern Luzon Command. And we made a special report way back March 2020. Nung nag-start yung pandemic, ang isa sa sinight namin sa special report na yon, Northern Luzon Command covers from regions 1, 2, 3 and the Cordillera Administrative Region. Kasi usually when we say the military, ang tingin natin is physical security lang barel, ganyan. Pero really security goes beyond that. We have economic security, food security.
Very good.
And we've learned from Mindanao that food security plays a critical role talaga pagdating sa ganitong klaseng disaster katulad din ng nasa Marawi, and yun yung concern namin. That report tackles yung proactive na role ni AFP that in months time, if we will not resolve this issue, magkakaroon na tayo ng problema sa pagkain. Magkakaroon tayo ng problema sa transportation, and really that's something na nasa policy level yan. So I will not be touching so much. Pero it provides us an opportunity para lumabas, and we've been helping farmers sa Pampanga. So what we did there was we actually boosted, along with the Department of Agriculture, yung requirements ng ilang farmers na makapag-produce for food security. It really, numerically, it may not go that far. It may not have a dent dun sa overall numbers natin for food security. Pero again, that is the capacity na given sa akin at this time. And yung ganong klaseng thought process na we are a very fluid organization. We adapt to circumstances as the Filipino people may require. And right now, we're looking forward to helping po sa pandemic through the acquisition of the new helicopters ng Philippine Air Force to use those as platforms para makapaghatid pa in the far-flung areas ng mga vaccines. So it gave us a new avenue to serve the Filipino people.
Sana mabilis ka ma-promote, Captain Ron. Yun. Anyway, Doc Raymond, yung telehealth center, mas magbo-boom yan even after the pandemic, no?
That's something that we anticipate, especially since we have been collaborating with the Department of Health with all of the policies. So we had recently issued from the UP Manila National Telehealth Center and the DOH a joint memorandum circular on telemedicine practice guidelines po. It's something that we hope could be just a start with regards to having like a telehealth law, an e-health law. Wala po kasing ganoon ngayon sa Pilipinas. So if there
yung mental health nga, yung sinasabi mong mental health, pwede na ulit yung dial a friend. Hindi bang ganoon? Pwede ba yun?
Pwede po yun. Ang mga right now mainstream technologies being used, artificial intelligence aided po na mga chatbot para po may makausap with regards to that. But more importantly, to your question earlier, to the rest of the whole class of honorees po for 2020, Sir Noel. And how do we see ourselves after the pandemic? So what I'm often reminded is that just to be able to be forward thinking and not to be too complacent, have the mindset that this is not and will not be the last pandemic that we will be experiencing. And having that in mind, the Philippine government po, a lot of the different sectors have been really lobbying for a CDC Philippines, Centers for Disease Control Philippines po, a virology SNT, Science and Technology Institute for the Philippines. So a lot of these things really, and then just having a Philippine Genome Center sa bawat, maybe one in Luzon, one in Visayas, one in Mindanao, maybe make it one in each of the regions. So a lot of these efforts po talaga is emphasizing on the foundational contribution and value of science. And to be able to prepare not just and then to enhance po our capabilities kasi magkakaroon pa rin po talaga ng mga NDRRMC, mga ganun po, no? Sa mga regionals and national level. Pero how do we equip them with the necessary information, near real-time na evidence po for decision making? Lahat po yun nakaantabay po yun sa ating mga SNT initiatives. So as we build more and more capacity on science and technology, and those are really lessons that we have learned po during this pandemic. And hopefully, mapanagumpayan po yon very, very soon. Para lang po, let's say, kung magkaroon po ng pandemic immediately after this, but then we are very much prepared, better prepared to face it. Hindi po tayo scrambling po during the next pandemic.
Galing nga Q Vico, di ba? from the very start. It's education and health and good governance. Now, Leslie, Attorney Leslie, do I see you in government soon again? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
Sir, ang hirap ng tanong.
Okay, go.
Pero always an opportunity to be able to help wherever I am. And right now, helping governments through the World Bank, not just in the Philippines, but also
That's
in
true.
East Asia.
That's true.
Pero sir, gusto kong balikan and dugtungan yung sinabi ni Raymond. Kasi di ba sinasabi niya na to prepare better. And naalala ko yung kwento ni Yusek Rene Solido na for us to be able to manage this whole situation, because the pandemic will not leave us, di ba? It's not the end of the year, and the impact of the pandemic will be felt 3-5 years from now. We're talking about employment, the economy, di ba? Jobs. And somebody has to think ahead and think forward to be more strategic. Kasi right now, lahat tayo ang focus is yung di ba, vaccine, di ba? Nagsa-scramble tayo because we're preparing a vaccination plan. LGUs are preparing that. Pero beyond that, yung mga direct and indirect impact, somebody has to think about it. And I know hirap na yung mga local chief executives natin kasi lahat, di ba, sa kanila, frontliners. I don't know how we do it, but somebody has to be more strategic and forward-thinking. And sinabi ni Yusek Rene sa akin, to be able to address and prepare better, kailangan yung disaster imagination. Ito yung sinasabi ni Dr. Raymond, di ba? Kailangan natin tingnan. Ano yung mga kailangan? How will this look? Sabi ni George, di ba? Let's co-create and imagine the future. And we have a lot of young people to do that with us. And then, di ba, right now, nafe-feel ng mga kabataan yung impact ng pandemic kasi marami yung nawalan ng trabaho sa mga call centers, yung mga businesses na nag-close. Yung message ko sa kanila is that more on find an opportunity to diversify. Learn new skills, di ba? Kung hindi ka na call center agent ngayon, kung kailangan mo mag-sewing, mag-baking, merong online courses, yung TESDA, di ba? Find that opportunity to learn new skills. Because
Vico sa sinabi mo. Because the next question I can ask is, what skill did you learn this pandemic?
Ako, cooking.
You learned how to cook. Raymond, ikaw? What's
I learned to, well, actually, hindi naman learned, maybe relearned to do a lot more painting just because I spend a lot more time with my daughter po. So that's
Tama naman yun. Captain Ron, what skill did you develop na bago? Oh, you're muted lang. Thank you.
Sorry. Siguro yung skill lang na to be able to communicate more clearly to your superiors kasi sa stage namin we are junior officers, and if we're looking forward to sabi nga ni Ma'am Leslie kanina, to a more strategic way ahead, you have to communicate it properly with your seniors. So siguro yun lang, you have to communicate it in a proper forum. Mas mahirap kasi you're dealing with policies, pero it's a good step to move forward. Mahirap lang siya kasi
effort yan sa militar, di ba? Pero yun, kailangan.
To break the bureaucracy na kailangan mo daanan lahat. So the point there is, how do you not actually break? How do you go through those bureaucracy, being heard, and at least being understood na ikaw junior officer ka, ang dami mong gustong gawin. Hintayin mo muna na makaupo ka, pero at least you can impose something within your present designation and rank and capacity.
Teacher Edgar, kayo po, what new skills you developed during the pandemic?
Aside from pagiging mahilig sa mga pananim po, kasi nagiging addict ako sa mga berries. So na-train po ako magiging how to online teaching. Kasi po hindi po also dito. So ngayon nagiging proficient po ako. Mas napalawig po ang aking kakayahan bilang isang guro. Not only physical but also online.
IT and yun nga plantito. George, ikaw, sorry, I'll put you on the spot. Did you learn more about policy and government?
Actually, yes. I learned a lot about governance, transparency, how things work. I mean, working with the IATF and the NTF really opened my eyes. No, na,
I'll put you for move forward. Do you see yourself making Angkas something more viable in the governance arena?
Ako po, private sector na lang po tayo. Marami
talaga?
tutulong yung pribadong sektor Working with the government, definitely, and I think that's one thing that we've all learned to do now.
That's true.
At least the big private sectors and even the SMEs, there's a lot of collaboration and cooperation that's happened between the government, and that's we've learned to really exchange ideas and work with them very, very closely. But I think there's a lot of ways we can help, and being in the private sector, you don't have the restraint in the COA that Leslie was saying to restrain you from helping. No? Kami dito sa pribadong sector, pag nagdesisyon po kami, isang araw, isang minuto nagagawa po. Sa gobyerno, medyo mas may kabagalan ng konti. At naramdaman po natin yun. So kung meron man akong skill na na-learn is patience through all the bureaucracy. If that is a skill, to learn, I've learned that skill.
Pinapalakpakan ka ni Leslie. Mayor Vico, ikaw, the other side of you during the pandemic.
Kung skill learned, siguro natuto ako paano hindi matulog ng 3 araw.
Kita
Sina Doc Raymond, sanay na sanay dyan.
Kitang-kita.
Especially nung ECQ. Grabe yung ECQ na yun eh. But eventually things settled down a little bit.
Pero yun yung maganda, no? Parang yung ayuda mo sa Pasig, tuloy-tuloy. Yun yung ibang klase kasi mag-GCQ ka, mag-ECQ ka, pero tulungan mo yung mga tao. Pero yun nga, parang having seen, followed you and knowing your family, 8 months of not seeing them, Mayor Vico? Ganun ba yun yung fending for yourself?
Oh, well, my dad, I didn't see my dad for a good 9 months.
Okay. Wow. And what's that? It's not a skill.
Yung ibang kapatid ko hindi ko pa nakikita since March.
Yeah. Pero kitang-kita ka ng opisina mo kasi nandyan ka signing your documents on a Sunday. Yun talaga. Anyway, more questions, Max? Do you have more questions there before we wrap up?
Yes, actually. And it's kind of related to what we're talking about now, about like ways to unwind and different skills everyone learned during quarantine. It's what are everyone's plans for the Valentine's Day weekend? And apart from that, how in general do you all unwind?
Okay. That may be a good, light question for everyone. Vico, ikaw yata yung interest nun.
Hindi. Wala, plan to rest a little bit, yun lang naman.
Oh, but that's a Sunday. You normally go and sign papers on a Sunday in your office and do FB Live. So rest, at least rest. Captain Ron.
Siguro I have to catch up with my family life then. I have my wife. So bago ko umalis for Sulu, at least we get to spend some quality time together.
That's very good. Sir Edgar, paano po?
Simba muna with the family and saka konting pasyal sa nature lang sa paligid lang dito.
So na-resolve na natin with the JCs that you're not flying here for the event, no? On the 18th, the awarding, but you're doing it virtually na lang. Kasi nangihinayang si Sir Edgar dun sa quarantine. Kasi may 14 days pa na ganong requirement.
But let's say, sir, baka next week, baka mayroon na akong final decision at saka baka pwede ako makapunta.
Galing naman. Minsan-minsan lang kayo magsama.
Gagawin ko yung best ko.
Sige, ayusin natin with that.
I will tap the governor here. So, pakiusapan ko muna yung governor dito na hindi muna ako mag-quarantine kung okay lang sa kanya.
Lagot ka. Tingnan natin na special case. George, ikaw.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, pero birthday din po ng asawa ko on Valentine's Day.
Galing
so
naman.
For me, okay dahil 2-in-1, no? So yung isang regalo na lang po yung nabibigay ko sa kanya. So I think we'll just have a quiet dinner with us.
But your love story, something.
And by the way, my wife is my boss. So medyo hirap din kailangan po rin pasayahin yung asawa.
And she's the parang tech expert, di ba? From Singapore.
Yung CEO po, boss ko po talaga sa personal life at sa totoong buhay. So
galing.
Alam kung tama yung decision na yun, pero mukhang okay naman po. So
happy wife, happy life. So yun daw. Yung magandang love story niyan, pwede pag-usapan sa susunod. Leslie, ikaw, Valentine's Day. Nasa Cebu ka ba ngayon? Or nandito ka sa Pasig?
Nasa Pasig.
So constituent ka ni Mayor Vico.
Constituent, yeah.
Okay, may QR code ka ba? Kasi pumasok ko ng Marriott, hinanapan ako nun. Okay.
Tama, meron. And
Okay.
very useful na isa na lang, di ba? So I think
That's true.
thank you to Mayor Vico.
Valentine's Day.
Magjo-joke sana ako, maghahanap pa ako ng date kasi may time pa hanggang Sunday.
Okay. So pwede naman yung mga tao at ayan pa, pwede tayo mag-connect.
Yeah.
Doc, ikaw family life, no?
Yes po. So we have a 10-month-old, so bata po na baby. Most of our spare time, spare talaga kasi yun na po lang talaga yung matitira. And we really reserve the weekends po talaga for our children po. Something that we want to be able to spend time. Kasi siyempre, I mean, even if it's bata pa po sila and really hindi naman po nila maaalala yon sort of, it's very important they feel that you're there. And then also our 5-year-old daughter po. So my wife po kasi is an OBGYN, so natatawag sa hospital. Ganun po. So very important that it's also fortuitous that Valentine's Day fell on a Sunday. So yun po ay malamang we will just do karaoke or something.
Okay. But sir, hindi kayo maghihintay ng vaccine kasi parang yun yung image ng mga doctors na na-delay na tayo, kailangan February 13 or February 14 tapos yun. Are you waiting for that?
Pag dumating po, masasabi ko po, pag dumating na po yung bakuna, there will be no hesitancy to get it into us.
That's true. Thank you, Max, for those questions. Sir Nash, final words lang. I have to ask, at this very crucial time when media is under attack, and well, and yun, sobrang important yung papel ng media in like also telling the accomplishments of these people, no, from different sectors. Bakit wala tayong awardee, sir?
I'm sorry, sir?
Bakit wala tayong awardee? Wala tayong awardee from the sector of media. So after Shara Zambrano and after Atom Araulo for the past 2 years, parang, anong nangyari sa batch na to? Was there no outstanding media personality?
Well, actually, sir, there were journalists who were nominated, no? But then siguro, dun lang sa base of deliberations, and I think yung mga judges ay exactly kung paano, bakit po wala to. But based on the deliberations po, parang they felt na there's more pa among the nominees from the journalism side. There's more pa they can do.
Why, sir? Sorry, why, sir? Because it's not the journalism award that you're looking for, no? Parang hindi lang excellence in your profession. What are you looking for?
Well, yun nga po, aside from the general rule that we are looking for someone who does beyond their profession, siguro po is we wanted then to see awardee or a person who actually shall we say maghirap po na tanong pero shall we say siguro who goes beyond the yung profession niya, and then someone who's despite of the pressure of what's happening right now, who can still make a stand and live with it. Parang ganun po.
Ang galing, no? Parang, well, it's not only about him or her, no? Parang it's also empowering other people.
Yes po.
Regarding those stands. Yeah. Okay. Ang hirap palang manalo. Congratulations sa inyong lahat. As a last question, probably, yun nga, your plea to the young people now, and I want to know, in what you're deemed outstanding now in your fields, no? But saan nyo pa nakikita yung sarili nyo or gusto yung sarili nyong maging outstanding pa? I want to push that further. Vico, you start. Sorry.
For me, Sir Noel, one step at a time. Kung nasan tayo ngayon, that's where we should work hard and to make the change. Sayang yung opportunity, nandito na tayo eh. Yeah. So we just have to keep working, work hard to to see the changes that we want to see where we are right now.
So wherever that is, you have our support. Well, that Ateneo is there to like support you, to back you up. But like just carry on. Your plea for the young people, Vico.
To the young people, as we mentioned earlier, find ways and make ways to effect positive change in your communities.
That's very good. George, go. Oh, you're muted.
nakayanan po natin ngayon, nalaman po natin, kaya po natin magtulungan para ma-solve ang isang pandemya. So sana po itong bagong skill na whole of nation approach na tutunan natin, ma-apply din po natin sa mga existing pandemics and future pandemics. Ano po ito existing pandemics? Pandemic of hunger, pandemic of education, pandemic of underemployment, pandemic of poverty. If we can all set aside our differences to fight a virus, itong pandemic that has been hunting us for years should be solved, and this will be solved by the new generation. Sa ating mga kabataan, nasa inyo ang kapangyarihan, nasa inyo yung pag-asa, hindi po nawawala yan. Habang bata po kayo, kayo po ang pag-asa ng bagayan. So lahat po ng mali, huwag niyong gayahin at matuto po kayo sa pagkakamali namin para kayo ay maging talagang beacon of hope for our future. And I really do believe in that. You have that power.
Thank you, George. Sir Edgar, any last message for the youth? Yeah, go.
Well, habang may pangarap, habang nangangarap pa ang ating mga bata, patuloy din ang ating pangarap na makapag-change ng buhay ng every individual, every children na mayroong pangarap sa buhay. Patuloy ang inyong mga pagpatuloy ninyo ang inyong mga nasimulan, no matter what difficulties that we are facing, even kung anong klaseng pandemya ang nating dinadanas, kailangan patuloy pa rin tayo at huwag kalimutan ang magtulong sa kapwa kahit tayo ay sa mga ordinaryong Pilipino.
Yeah, ordinary stories but done extraordinarily. Captain Ron?
Yes, sir, siguro yung my job right now really is to make leaders, younger leaders, to follow at least yung initial footsteps. Then afterwards, they make their own path.
Yes.
So it's not about kung saan ako makakarating, pero it's about ano yung pwede mong magawa sa mga juniors mo. Kasi no matter kahit kano kagaling, pero you have no one behind you, wala ding mangyayari. You have no one to push you forward, sabi nga ni Mayor Vico kanina, to make you accountable. And likewise, you have no one na susunod dun sa ginagawa mo or do it much better, then magiging irrelevant yung ginagawa mo. It's about making that ripple of change and affecting the younger generation. And at the same time, this is also a call, especially dun sa mga nakakarinig nito. Now, we're lucky na nandito tayo sa lugar na maganda, mayroong mga building, may maayos na karsada. Some people are out there in Mindanao, in the tribes, na napakahirap, namamatay sila sa mga simplest of things that even hindi nga natin naiisip dito. Because we understand our job is really not just to cry out our hearts, pero dahil naiintindihan natin, dahil nakapag-aral tayo, naiintindihan natin sila, our job is to translate that understanding into action. Yes. And actions that are relevant on the ground, on the actual ground, hindi yung actions that will further make things bitter o yung mga bagay na lalong magiging magpapasama pa. You do change on the ground. So you convert your passion to action dun sa ground, and in that way, you could actually help those people in need. That's the reason why we study, so we can understand. And we understand so we can help others.
Ilang na paulit-ulit talaga yung on the ground. Doon siya talaga nanggagaling. Thanks also for keeping us grounded. Thank you very much. Doc Raymond, go. Your plea for the young people, and where do you see yourself improving also and being outstanding? Do you see yourself being the next DOH head?
Not really. I would say it will be a very humbling and very great honor just to be able to be nominated. But I do not really see myself being in that position. Not anytime soon, but really ever. Just because it's not something on my horizon, and it's something that I feel it's a lot of responsibility. I'm not sure if any one person could really take that on. But having said that, my message po to the youth before I answer where I see myself 5 to 10 years from now. My message to the youth po hinges on one simple thing. The predominant feeling throughout this pandemic is fear. I'm afraid. I'm scared to go out. I'm scared to interact with these people. To that I say, and the message to the youth I say, do not be afraid. Continue to push the envelope continue on to reach out to the people. Very, very simple. You can start very, very small. If you want to be able to penetrate this sector, if you want to be able to learn more, a master's, a PhD, the expert in this field, even though you do not know that person, reach out. It all starts with that simple, people say it's a cold call or cold email, but you just reach out. That's the you will be very, very surprised that the people on the other end of the spectrum will provide you with the hope, with the inspiration for you to be able to reach that goal of yours. So do not be afraid. That's something that has been, parang natabunan na po tayo ng takot, ng pag-aalinlangan. But it really, all 7 of us really, I think, not to speak for the whole group, but I think could attest that having that sense of not being afraid, pushing the envelope, having that confidence that we are doing, what we are doing is right, or it's aligned with our virtues, with our principles, and with really what is valuable and helpful for others. That really is what it boils down to. As for the next 5 to 10 years, I just hope to really be, I'm more of a learner po kasi in that I want to acquire the necessary skills just to be able to help people. I see myself maybe trying to have a better understanding on the interactions with public-private partnership. That is something that's really very, very new to me, and just to understand the nuances of that. I think yung pong partnership na yon and collaboration, it's very underutilized and underappreciated.
Yes.
But really, it's something that has to be studied more and more just to have a structured approach into converting it into a successful program.
Galing, nakakapangilabot yung mga examples niyan. At saka yun nga, yung takot nakakahawa pero yung tapang, yung concerted action nakakahawa rin. So, well, Leslie, go. End it na with your positive note and what we can expect from your being outstanding.
Sa akin, Noel, it's more of, for the young people out there, not to lose hope and to dare to dream big and live to fulfill those dreams. Kasi sometimes, yung challenge natin is we think small. But ang realization is wherever you are, di ba? You don't have to compare yourselves to other people. We don't all have to be politicians to be good in other people's areas. All we need to do is if you're a good doctor, if you're a good nurse, if you're a good lawyer or businessman, do your job well and you'll shine in your respective field. And I think that's an important message for young people out there. So yun. But I see myself 3 to 5 years from now, I imagine envision working abroad, maybe in the World Bank, showcasing the Filipino resilience, telling that story of how do you deal with disasters left and right, the crisis, the pandemics, so that other countries can also learn, and to continue the advocacy na to prepare individuals as well as communities to be more prepared sa mga disasters. And I think it's high time for us to showcase na kaya natin to. Our nurses, our healthcare workers are very good already. They're at the front lines wherever you go globally. So in international development work, it's crucial to showcase that level of Filipino professionalism. And I hope I'll be there someday.
Galing, no? Parang now it's really demanding for that representation in the international arena, and also resiliency, and I guess that's another word that came up during this pandemic is accountability. Hindi ba yung let people demand accountability sa mga tao. So maraming salamat. Let's keep the spirit alive, the Filipino spirit alive with these inspiring works and actions from these outstanding young people. Sir Nash, reminders lang for your awarding. When will this be and where? And how can the public watch? And normally kasi, di ba, may Ramon Magsaysay Award, may National Artist Award. Of course, you'll be showcasing their really inspiring stories like what we did today. How can the public and their loved ones, kung hindi nakikita ng mga parents sila, siguro naman may reunion kayo niyan, Vico, ng parents mo kasi magandang opportunity to. Sir, tell us about the awarding on the 18th.
Finally po, after more than a month, no? Supposedly kasi December kami nag-award talaga. Yes. But then dahil nga sa deliberations ng judges medyo na-prolong, So finally po, on February 18th, we'll be having the awarding ceremonies. This will be in Grand Hyatt in BGC, Bonifacio Global, in Taguig po. I just don't know as to for the finality po if it's gonna be shown via our Facebook page.
Yes.
But there were actually ideas that we're gonna have it as well sa JCI Philippines at saka TOIM Foundation Facebook pages po.
So yun, well, PLDT is part of your program, so they may be able to help you with that. So thank you sir, and thank you Max again. And yun nga, again, the five ng F's in during this pandemic, no? You focus on faith, family, friends, food for the body and food for the soul, and then you focus on fellow Filipinos. Yun talaga yung kailangan. And then, well, next week, happy 3rd anniversary sa Radyo Katipunan. We're kicking it off today. So it's a 3rd anniversary of Radyo Katipunan. And next week, a very concrete way of being involved and being outstanding. We have to push for voters registration, 3 million new voters and 7 million reactivation. We'll have the COMELEC representatives here in Level Up sa Radyo Katipunan next Friday. At kasama natin lahat kayo dyan. Kasi lalo na yung mga kabataan na kailangan talagang magparehistro. Vico, kumusta yung estado sa Makati ng mga voter registrants ng mga bago?
Sa Pasig ongoing yung registration natin. Nakita natin mas marami sa District 2 namin on the east part of Pasig. But hopefully more people will come and register. Especially the young people, kailangan talaga parehistro po tayo.
Correct, kasi only have until September 30 to do it. And I think the COMELEC offices are open even on Saturdays. So kailangan.
Yes, open na rin pag Sabado.
Tapos isang hihingin namin actually sa COMELEC ay yung ibaba nila sa ground. yun we're talking about ground, Captain Ron. Yung tipong baka may system tayo kasi 3 million and 3 million new voters at saka 7 million na reactivation, ang daming kailangang iproseso niyan, baka pwedeng dalhin na sa mas madaling paraan para sa mga kabataan at mga kababayan natin. So thank you very much. This has been so inspiring at ang ganda lang na nagsama-sama yung katulad nyo na nagsasabi sa amin na oo, may pag-asa. At yun, nasa inyo yung suporta namin. Lalo na, yun nga, ang hirap ng ginagawa nyo despite the pandemic and despite yun nga, yung takot na nagpa-pervade sa society at yung uncertainty ng buong pinagdadaanan natin. Parang at least pinapakita nyo na may pag-asa. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much once again. Thank you, TOIM. And see you again in the next Leveling Up. We continue to level up. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Galing.
Keep safe.
Paulit-ulit kang nagplano. Paulit-ulit ngunit lagi din naman nababago.
Di kailanman mapipigilan pagbuhos ng ulan. Ang buhay sadyang ganyan.
At kaya ng papago-pagong paghihip ng hangin. Lahat ay lilipas at magsasalita.
Huwag kang mabahala, huwag mataranta. Hindi kailangan ang mag-alilangan pa.
Isipin mo laging nandito lamang ang aking balikat, sa'yo'y nakaabang.
Asahan mo, hindi ka iiwan sa mundo. Lahat may hangganan, asahan mo. Wala nang atrasan sa iyong bawat hakbang na pupuntahan. Pangako kailanman, agad akong nandyan. Sang tawag mo lang.
At tuwing nagdidilim ang langit,
Iba't nagpapakita ang buwan hanggang mag-umaga na naman.
Tara't hintayin na natin magsikat ng iyong araw hanggang sa magliwanag muli ang lahat.
Asahan mo, hindi ka iiwan sa mundo. Lahat may hangganan, asahan mo. Wala nang atrasan sa iyong bawat hakbang mapupuntahan. Pangako kailanman, pagkada kong nandyan, sa tawag mo. Asahan mo, hindi ka iiwan sa mundo. Lahat may hangganan, asahan mo. Wala nang atrasan sa iyong bawat hakbang mapupuntahan. Pangako kailanman, pagkada kong nandyan, sa tawag mo lang. Sa tawag